What's up, my fellow ambitious poker players, and welcome to the Mechanics of Poker podcast, in which me, Rene, aka the Wacko, and Adam Carmichael deconstruct high-stakes poker players, figuring out what it is about them, how they think, what they do that makes them so successful, with an extra focus on the obstacles they faced and the skills they had to develop to surpass them. This podcast is brought to you by Poker Ambition. If you are ambitious about making more progress in your poker career, go over to their site, pokerambition.com, and find out which service is best for you. But without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Hi there, my fellow poker enthusiasts. Welcome back to another episode of the Mechanics of Poker podcast. Today, we are connected to Spain to have a chat with high-stakes Spanish cash game player José Jiménez, also known as JMBigJoe online. Well, like many Spanish players, he is resident in Andorra, which is probably one of the countries, I would say, with the most amount of crushing poker players in the world. Not a day goes by I don't play against someone from Andorra. However, he doesn't spend all his time there, as he loves to travel and describes himself more as a nomad. He is very into yoga, meditation, surfing, and nature. He has mentioned actually to me that he loves to be connected with it by walking barefoot if he has the chance, and is known for hugging trees, which is actually, I saw a profile picture that he has on his Instagram. So there's a lot of love for nature right there. He has also been to various silent retreats where you basically sit in silence, meditating often for a week or more, which is actually something that I'm still eager to try myself. And I'm very curious to hear how he thinks his lifestyle around poker has contributed to his success. Adam, I know you are an advanced meditator yourself, and we have already discussed the value of meditation many times on this podcast. Have you ever done a silent retreat? And if so, why do you think it's beneficial?
Well, yeah, I've been meditating for about 7 years, probably every day for around 20 to 30 minutes on average. I haven't done a silent retreat, and I'm very keen to do one as well. And yeah, I think the benefits relative to meditating would just be that immersive experience. So you get to remove all stimulus for a prolonged period of time. Generally, you're going to spend a lot of that time meditating or being in nature. So yeah, I can imagine doing 4 days to 7 days, full silent retreat would be amazing. You'll come out with a great sense of clarity, but I haven't done it yet. So I'll let you know if I do it in the future when I make time for it. But yeah, really excited for today's guest. He seems like a very holistic guy, looks after his health, very into nature, into meditating, has a very diverse background of interests outside of poker, whilst pursuing high stakes poker. So yeah, really curious to see how he fits it all together. And it's sure it's going to be a wide ranging conversation with many topics for the audience.
Yeah, I'm very curious myself as well. Before, however, we get into the conversation with José, I would like to remind our audience that we have only 1 week left on our closing sale promotion on the Mechanics of Poker program. As mentioned in, I think, the previous podcast as well, we are working hard behind the scenes on the Mechanics of Poker 2.0, an even better program. If you sign up now, you will still have access to all the goodness that's coming up in the 2.0. However, we are going to be only accepting players that fit a certain profile in the 2.0. So if you want to guarantee a seat in the program, sign up now. The promotion runs until the end of July. So sign up, get discount, and guarantee a seat for the Mechanics of Poker 2.0. All right, last chance. Without further ado, though, let's get into our conversation with José. Hola, señor José, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien. Increíble, maravilloso.
Maravilloso, bueno. From here on, we'll take it over into English. I wanted to start off this pod with what got you into poker. You mentioned, as many others did before you, that you like the competitive aspect that poker gives. But I think also the opportunity for growth being a poker player can bring you, because you mentioned that you always strive towards becoming better every day, probably not only in poker, but also in life. Since what age and in which activity do you recall first realizing that being on a continuous path of developing and getting better in something is so rewarding for you? And could you describe the feeling this gives you?
Okay, let's see how I start. I started poker because I like to play games about strategy games like Age of Empires, World of Warcraft. But I couldn't win. I couldn't earn money with that. So I said, okay, I start to watch like a high stake poker with Phil Ivey, Tom Duan. So I said, okay, they are earning a lot of money. So why I cannot? Why I cannot do this? So if I like games, so I'm gonna play poker and let's see what happens. Okay. This was my why I started to play poker. And then on the way, I realized that poker is a big tool to grow because it's so similar to life. But this was much later because when I started to play poker, I didn't started the spiritual path, like a developing path, like the power of now, meditation, this kind of things. So when I started in this kind of things because when I was playing poker, I need to drink Red Bull to be focused. So I said, okay, this is not healthy. This can't be. I mean, this have to be another things to get focused, and don't need like Red Bull or a lot of coffee or this kind of things. So I found I meet the meditation. It's like a Vipassana meditation, like focusing on your breath, and observing your body, your thoughts, your feelings, your sensations. So I started to meditate, and then that was the click, the beginning of my spiritual way, spiritual path. I don't know if can you you ask me many things, so I don't know if what I have to do now. I mean,
No, yeah, I can understand. I did indeed give you quite a broad question, but you gave a lot of interesting information, mainly, yeah, that you played already competitive games before you started to play poker. Was, for example, because you mentioned that when playing poker, focus apparently was an issue, right? You maybe noticed that you were making mistakes due to not being focused. When you were playing other games like Age of Empires, was focus already a problem back then?
I didn't know because there were money. You know, there is no money in the middle. So I know I remember I wasn't so good. I mean, I wasn't okay, but wasn't good. So I don't know why. So maybe this was one of the things, right? But when I go into poker, then I have this serious. If you make a mistake, you lose money. So it's like a money was a tool, no, or something, because I don't want to lose. Because if you lose, so you cannot live. So you have to quit poker. And you know, I don't like to lose. You know, it's like I'm so competitive in the past with the world, because if I have like when I was a child, I have like a problem with my family, with my father, my mom. So my father left. So I think I realized now in my spiritual path that I have to be good, because if I'm good, people love me, you know. So that was my best, my most important point: to be good, to be competitive, to be the best. Because if I'm the best, people love me. So this was a very important thing to achieve, to high stakes in the past. For example, because before to start in the spiritual path, I was already playing like 1K, you know, 1K, a little bit of 2K. That was 2013, 2014. Then I met Educapoker. I met Bedo, you know, Andres Artiñano. I was coached for him, but in that time, I didn't know anything about spiritual things, about developing ourselves. I didn't even know I could observe my thinkings. It's like when you start in meditation, when you start to do, you start to realize, okay, I'm thinking. What is this? I'm thinking, really. I get to this thanks to Eckhart Tolle with the power of now. That was the beginning, and then it has been like 12 years already working on myself, knowing myself, and knowing to love myself, because I didn't love me in the past. Now I have a lot of work yet, but everything changed. I think it's a endless way. I mean, in life, everything you want to do, everything you do, all the ways, if you want, are infinite. Like there is no end in any way. You can get, you can walk as much as you want. You understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the.
That's interesting that you said like that you made the realization of, hey, wait, I'm actually thinking, and become conscious of what you're thinking. And I can imagine that if you become conscious of what you're thinking, for example, in poker, right? Often in a poker hand, we think about things that might not be as relevant as we would like it to be, right? We hear certain thoughts, or we're like, why the hell am I thinking this inside this hand? This is completely not relevant. Do you still remember like something while you were observing your thought process in a hand? You were like, Jose, this is not very helpful. Why am I thinking this? Do you remember? Did you have a moment like that?
I don't remember exactly the point in a hand, but of course that happened because it still happened in my life. I mean, I'm talking with someone, and then I start to think about other things that it's not important now. So it's like, what are you doing, man? I mean, you're here or not? In poker, now I have an amazing work ethic. I'm so professional and so serious. So I have a big routine before to go poker. I don't have I don't open Skype, anything. I mean, only poker, only focusing on poker. I play along with my earphones, with like ocean sounds in the background. I wake up, I meditate, I do some exercise to wake up the mind. It's for me so important. Sometimes you wake up like a little bit like a slow. Then you start you exercise for 10 minutes. You have to get sweat. Yeah? And then your mind is wow. Yeah? And this is amazing, and that is evolutive, because in the past when you go to hunt, you have to be awake. So this is a power a book about that, like the club of the 5 o'clock a.m. I think Robin Sharma, maybe, I'm not sure. This is amazing. That book is wow. So I wake up, I meditate, I do exercise.
That's it. Robin Sharma, the 5 a.m. club.
I think so, right? I think it's an amazing book. Amazing book.
Why is it so amazing?
Because it's like show you what to do to be good at what you are doing. I mean, because you are not, for example, if you read the book and you apply the book like straight, when you wake up at 5 a.m., okay, everything is quiet. People is sleeping, so you don't have distractions. That's important. And then if you don't wake up at 5 a.m., okay, so anyway, you can have an environment with no distraction. Okay, for example, I don't open the phone. I mean, I don't take the phone, WhatsApp, anything till I finish my day. Actually, in my WhatsApp, I have a phrase that I check the WhatsApp 1 or twice per week. You know, if you want if something is important, please call me or send me an email. You know, in the last 3 years, I didn't get a call and only one email because a friend wanted to have dinner with me. You know, so okay, so there's not anything important actually. So there is a book, amazing book too about this, the 7 habits to be efficient people, I think in English.
Seven Habits of Highly Efficient People, I think.
Yeah, it's amazing, that books, that one and the 5 a.m. I mean, are so important to know what is important and what is not, and be like focusing what you're doing and be present, you know, in what you're doing. Be here, be present. So that's now for me, I think this is the most important point to be good, to achieve high stakes. You know? This one was one, and another one was to learn Payo, of course. When you play 2K plus, you have to learn Payo for sure, because you have to know. I mean, actually, I don't know if Payo is good or bad, but I mean, in life, nothing is good or bad, okay? But it's important to know your opponent strategy. So I don't care if I want to use that or not, but if I know my opening strategy, I know what I'm gonna do. I mean, I'm in like I see there's another book, right? The Art of War or something like that. Talk about
big
this.
Fan,
I mean,
big fan.
I didn't read it actually. I have to do it, but that's important. I mean, if you know your strategy, your opening strategy, I mean, it's amazing. So
yeah, I think he has a phrase. I don't think I can quote it exactly, but it says something like, if you know your opponent, you win 1 out of 2 wars. If you know yourself and your opponent, you will be victorious. Something along those lines. And if you know neither, you will always lose, basically, right? It's the importance of knowing your opponent's strategy, but also knowing yourself. Because if you only focus on the other, right? To quote Conor McGregor, I remember I think he was fighting against José Aldo. I've listened to this clip many times. He said, who the fuck is José Aldo? It's you against yourself in the ring, right? And it's the same in poker. We are often our biggest opponent, but you need to have a certain level of self-awareness that, for example, with the power of now and on your spiritual path, you probably realize that like, oh, I'm not losing because of my opponents at the table. I'm losing because of myself. And I think especially in the beginning, I remember when I started to play poker, and this is probably similar for you, I just sat down and expected, what I knew to come out. I didn't understand there was a performance aspect, right? Like you say, you wake up, you meditate, you do a little bit of exercise to wake up your mind. I always go outside, take some sun. You know, this is always to wake yourself up. And you start to experience that in poker. And there was something interesting that you also brought up, the necessity, because you play this game for money and you want to win, and losing costs you a lot of money. Whereas when you're playing Age of Empires and you lose, it's like, yeah, okay, I just played this game for fun, right? So the necessity wasn't really the same. It was actually interesting that you also mentioned that your father left, and that caused you basically to want to get validation from other people, if I understood that correctly, right? It's sort of, I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's like, okay, I didn't get the love from my father that I wanted, so therefore I'm going to try to be liked by everyone around me, which, you know, can have a negative aspect, but for you, it sounded also like it had a positive aspect, which is you were then trying to be very good at a lot of things to receive this love. And nowadays you said that you love yourself more, so it's not really necessary as much. Could you maybe walk us through that path?
So now I love myself more, but anyway, this endless way. I have a very big scar, a big scar. So you need a lot of work and time to heal. So the most important thing is to be in the process, and every day you try to be better and conscious. It's gonna be better. But of course, I'm a human, and I still want the love of people, you know, but in a different way, you know, some kind of different way. But now it's less important for me. because I'm more comfortable with me, so I need the people less. But you know what I mean? The same but different. Same but different. You know, you have been in Thailand. Have you been in Thailand? Same but different. Yeah, it's like
Same but different. Yeah, that's indeed what they love to say in Thailand. But I can. Did you notice maybe a certain motivation drop? Because in one way, this kind of fuels you, right? To try to become the best, to earn validation from other people around you. That, for example, in this case, you didn't get from your father. After you realized that was kind of one of your drivers behind trying to become a successful poker player. Did you then notice like a certain drop in motivation?
No, because I like to be better because for myself. So that's the most important. When you realize this, like I love to grow. I love to grow. If it's not like better. It's like if I grow, I'm quiet. I'm with myself, like relaxed, peaceful. So for me, the most important thing in life is to be in peace, to be quiet, be in the present, quiet, and be here. Then this is my path now. For that, I still have a lot of motivation because I love the game. Actually, other thing about I'm good in poker is because I love the game. I love the game. I love strategy, competition. I love the freedom. I mean, I can do everything with poker. I can live everywhere. I don't remember the last time I didn't. I couldn't do something. If I want to do something, I do it. Because I don't have the problem of money. You understand? I did all this. Understand this? What I meant?
Yeah. So you're more your present moment. How I understood it, your present moment, you're very much okay with it because you don't need anything more, right? I think this is also. Is this a bit Buddhism or meditation? I don't know, but like the present is okay, right? Often, if you would observe it, we often worry and envy things that are in the future and actually not really relevant. Okay, maybe made relevant by society because we want to have a certain status or something, and we observe or we kind of consume our minds with trying to achieve something for reasons that are not really purposeful. Right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that is so difficult, and this is what everything says, the big master says, okay. But another thing, talking about this now, the last month, I mean, I've been playing high stake for the last year, many hours, a lot of stress. I love the game, but I only play poker. I only study poker 12 hours per day, 14 hours per day. Last month, on 15th of May, I left Playa del Carmen because I live in Andorra, actually. So I wanted to stop. I wanted to go out from poker for a while because when you are so inside, when you are so deep in something, you cannot see outside. I mean, in life, there is amazing things. But if you are focusing only on one thing, maybe you are losing a lot of things, a lot of good things, And I love poker, so I could be playing poker my whole life. But I'm a little bit scared because I'm in my comfort zone. So I'm scared about. I want to know. I want to see if there is other things in life that I like. I love too, That's what I mean. So
yeah, when you're very much in the poker grind, that seems like that's all that matters. This is life, and sometimes you need to kind of distance yourself from that to realize, oh wait, there's actually more in life. Yeah, sure, poker is still important to me, but wait, there's so much more.
There's so much more, and poker. Now, when people said the first time you achieve something, the first time you achieve something is like if you achieve something 1, 2, 3, 4 times, the first time is the best about sensations, feelings. Okay, so I got it now. So now I was thinking about, okay, for why I do this, because of money, because I want to get to higher, or what now? What now? Because if I don't think about this, I can play, and money for what? I mean, so now I don't need to work actually, because I earn a lot of money to buy some houses and rent it, and I need like maybe 2,000 euros per month to live. So I get this already with my houses. So okay, money is not now the motivation. So what I want to do,
This is actually quite interesting because I think a lot of poker players, they are very driven by becoming the best or making an X amount of money. And then when they reach that goal, right, often already at a very young age, the next question is sort of, now what? And it seems like you have thought about this question quite well. Like, why do I continue to play poker, and why, in which way does it fulfill me? So in which other way, financial freedom is out of the way, as you said, right? Money is no longer the motivation. Then why do you keep on playing? Why is it so fulfilling to you to, maybe try to become the best? I know, you try to play the highest stakes. What makes that so fulfilling for you? And it's mainly probably the process, right? Because you're very much in the moment. It's not like, oh, I want to become the best because then I will feel in a certain way. I feel like you're definitely a more evolved spiritual creature that you're like, no, it's the process, day by day.
Yeah, it's a between, right? Because I still fighting with that, with to be loved to be loved for the rest, or to be the best because people is gonna accept me. That I still fighting with that, right? But now I'm conscious of that. I work a lot on that, so I can make a decision. I can, okay, I have this is my weakness, but conscious I can do this, right? So to play high stakes, you have to be like, poker is your life. You wake up with poker, you drink with poker. I mean, I drink with poker. I drink with hands. So it's 24 hours. So I think I don't want that for now. I don't know, but maybe yes. It's like maybe next month I told you, hey, Waco, I'm gonna play high stake again. So I feel it. No, it's okay. It's okay. But now I think about, okay, I can play 1K, 500, 1K, maybe 2K if the table is very good. But like okay, and I can be in poker like 6 hours per day, and then do other things. Because I don't need money. I love poker, so I want to play poker because help me to help people. So when I play poker, when poker for me is a big tool to get to people, to help people, to change people's lives. Actually, I don't like to coach. I like to coach people who is playing like between no limit 50 no limit 100, because I'm going to make a change in his life. I mean, he's almost to get a professional. So wow, that's amazing. It's like helping people to be professional and to maybe have the same life that I have. That my life is amazing. It's crazy. It's like a dream. I mean, of course, I have my bad days or my problems. We don't have problems actually. So my conflicts, my I lose something. Of course, we are humans, okay? But our life is crazy. It's like we are in the top, So the point is, I like to help people, to maybe change people's life. Make a point in his life. So poker gives me this. It's a tool to be able to do this, because the more I think you are going to ask me later maybe, but for me the most important thing in life is to be a good person to help people, of course, when I talk about to be a good person, first, to be a good person with me, love myself, and then if you are able to love yourself, you are able to love people. Always from inside to outside. That's something I've been learning for many years, but now I really understand this concept. Everything is from inside. When you get that inside, realize outside, or appear outside. It's like mirror with yourself. If you love yourself, people are gonna love you, because if you love yourself, you love people. People love you, people like love. So it's amazing. And if someone have a different way in life, like for example, maybe there's some people that they are disconnected with love, so they do things that we don't understand, or doesn't look fine, or for example, I don't know. I don't like to give extreme examples, but someone do something to you. You say, "Oh, why you did that? Oh, is this bad person?" It's not bad person. He has his process. He don't love himself. So how is gonna love you? Oh, okay. So understand. The most important thing about this is understand how human works. Why people do things. When you know why people do things, then you start to be more empathic. Empathic, and of course, I'm understanding. I'm trying to understand people, but I'm not like supporting them. Supporting.
Yeah, no.
For example, because always there's a conflict with this when I talk about this. Like, okay, so for example, a extreme example, terrorism. People is killing people because they think if they, for example, the jihadist people, they kill because they think it's the best. Because if you do that, it's the best for them, for his community to survive. And if they do that, they go to heaven, and they're amazing there. So
in the end, they're also trying to make the world a better place. Maybe not in the eyes of others.
Yes, but for them,
I get it. So and you don't. It's obviously it's not a justification, but
exactly.
Seeing it through their eyes, you can understand it. Why in their eyes, the belief systems they have, this is actually a good thing to do.
Yeah, and so now go to poker. I mean, poker in life is the same. You think, go to poker. If I understand why you play that hand like that, I'm going to know you better. So I know how to exploit you better. I'm going to earn more money for you. But one of the biggest mistakes is some players do some move, and you say, "Oh, he's so bad. Why he do that? He's horrible. Oh, I'm gonna crush you." I mean, but this thinking process don't give you anything. I mean, you don't learn with this. You don't learn with this process. You learn. You say, "Okay, he did that. Why? Why he did that?"
Yeah, because he does it because he thinks it's a good idea, right? So you have to figure out in which way do you think that makes this a good idea? What can I learn from that in order to exploit you in the future?
Yeah, and if you have this way of thinking, maybe you realize that you are wrong and not him.
Yeah, that's a very common issue that you see, that people just label someone as bad and they don't keep an open mind for, okay, he thinks this is good. When would this be good? Because we can always learn from any type of player, even from a quote bad players. I think the players you can learn the most from are people that you perceive to be not that great, but they still always crush. Then there apparently is something that they do that you don't understand.
Actually, when I remember Educapoker, Beto, Andres Artiniano, I had the same conversation with him, but different way, because he had different way to talk. But he said, "Oh, why he did that? He's horrible." And he told me, he's better than you. So maybe you have to learn and not him, you know?
That's a good one.
Yes, when someone who is better than you is doing something, maybe I think you are wrong. And then you have, of course, and if you do this with everyone, doesn't matter if better or worse, you are gonna learn a lot.
I wanted to a lot of goodness. Thank you a lot for sharing all this. You mentioned that you love to win, and I'll be like, you can describe to us how winning makes you feel and why this is so great. But often when you experience highs, with that also come lows. So how do you experience the highs and the lows in poker? Or do you keep the lows to a medium and you try to maximum experience the highs?
The highs is the earnings, when you win?
The wins. So
okay,
often, you know, in order to open yourself up for extreme emotions of, for example, you feel very euphoric because you won a lot. That means you also open yourself up for the downsides, which if you lose, you hurt a lot. How do you experience winning and losing as, I think, an emotional person, an expressive emotional person?
I love to win, so I'm working on learn to lose, right? So and my way, I like it. My way is if I lose on poker, I mean, when or playing football, I love football. I'm playing football, playing any competitive sport or game. If I lose, the other win. Okay, so amazing. Okay, he's happy now. So I'm focusing on if I lose, he win. So it's good. I'm happy for him. You know, that kind of this way. Okay. Then another point is life is like this. If I don't lose, I cannot win. If I win, you know, it's the duality of life. So I still working a lot of this because it's not natural. When I lose, okay, I try to be happy for you, but I get serious or I cannot make a joke. You know, it's not natural. But anyway, when we start to learn something, it's not natural. When you start to walk, you fall a lot. It's not natural for you. You look like a clown. You look like a, you know, with babies, no? So it's a process. I'm learning how to lose happy. And then on poker, I'm not ready for this. Okay? I mean, I'm not ready in the short terms. So what I do, I don't look how graph. I don't look. Maybe I look my results one per month or before to go holidays. If I go holidays before to go holidays, I look my results, and then I have a few days to calm down. You know, emotionally, take a good perspective. You know, about I have to lose because this poker, this life. So this I think is the way I approach this.
Yeah, I think it really. I'm personally a big fan of only looking at your results on, for example, a monthly basis, because it feels like, you know, then the month starts fresh. You have something to work on. You have your missions. You focus on the process, right? You focus on all the things that you're trying to improve. I'm sure there's a couple of spots where you feel like, you know, you could play a bit better. You focus on that. And then in the end result, end of the month, you could take a look at your results. But basically, if you just focus on the process of trying to improve your leagues, the end result will be that you will start to win money. So I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of that as well, not looking at results.
I think one very important thing is to be focusing what is on you. I mean, you know, there are things that depend of us, and there are things that don't depend of us. I said what?
It's like in control, out of your control.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's in me to wake up, meditate, exercise, study, you know, play as best as I can. But it's not on me to earn every day or in every session, because thanks of that, we earn money. I mean, occasionally I play poker because they have a chance to win in short term. Why occasional doesn't play chess? Because they cannot win never. I mean, they never are able to win. Poker, they can win. I mean, of course, in one session, in 100 hands. That's thanks to that, we can live from poker. So
yeah, so this is again like the positives of losing. The fact that we can lose and the recreational can win keeps the game alive.
Exactly. And because of this, and going deeper to this, I try to make the occasional experience as best as I can. Why? Because think this way. They are clients. We have a business. We have a hotel, a restaurant. They come to our restaurant to have a good experience. So I'm gonna give you a good experience in exchange to money. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a relationship.
They're paying you money to have a good experience.
Yeah, that's the point. So when you realize this and when you understand this, I think your perspective to them change a lot, because I think you have seen a lot of people to blame occasionals, to say, hey, how you play that hand like that, or what you did, or what. Mate, I mean, they're doing this best, and thanks to him, you are winning, you are earning money. See, why are you doing? It's like if you go to a restaurant, the bartenders or whatever, you ask for a drink, and he gives you a punch or something. I said, oh, thank you. Okay, take 20 euros for that. Thank you. I'm going. See you next time.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not see you next time. This was actually something that I remember in the podcast we did with Johan Joveral. He really emphasized on it, especially in live poker, that you were there to give the recreational a good experience. And he said that a lot of online players, they don't understand that. They come there to play for money, whereas the recreational come there to have fun. I remember that's what he said. They are there to have fun, and it's your job to make sure that they have as much fun as possible.
Yeah, and you can see that when professional online poker players go to play live.
Yeah,
they are like it's a mess. It's a different game. It's a different game. But you're playing with people. You can see people. You have to be talking. You have to actually maybe you go to play 1K. It doesn't matter. But when you play high stakes for life, you have to be fun. You have to talk. You cannot be with your earphones. I mean, you have to be like create a dynamic on the table, because it's going for that, And
you also mentioned that before taking a break, you like to look at your results mainly to take a couple of days. So you do that a couple of days before you go on the holiday, right? Not the night before you have your flight tomorrow. You look at your results because you needed some time to process. And I think, could you maybe give some tips? I think a lot of players, they struggle with this, to kind of let go of poker when they go on a holiday. I think especially when things went badly and then they're on holiday and they might feel some resistance, like I'm here. For example, something that I have experienced, that you're there, but you don't really want to be there because poker is going bad and you want to work on it. That's one. Or you might feel a bit guilty, like I didn't deserve to go on holiday because I've been playing like shit. These are two things that I would say that I would struggle with. Do you have any advice?
Yeah, I think the last to feel a shit, like a shit because you lose or whatever. I think if you do your best, you have to be proud of yourself. I mean, doesn't matter and then maybe you make some mistakes, but try to do better next time. And of course, you're gonna make a mistakes again. This is life, it's human. But try to be better. If you try to be better, accept what happened. I like to talk. I like a lot how I did like 2 Vipassana retreats. Vipassana retreats.
It's a silent retreats, right?
Silent retreat for 10 days, focusing on meditation, on breath. It's a millenary technique. They said that you have to accept the reality as it is, but do your best the next time. So I think this works a lot for me when I have that feeling. And then when, for example, if I look at the result and I lost a lot, of course I have like a when someone dies, how do you call that? Aduelo?
It's a grief or something.
A grief, yeah. I have a grief. When you lose something, you have a grief. It's a human feeling. It's okay. I mean, it's like that. But now it's less intense than before because I've been working on this for many years. Right? But I still have that. I remember in 2000. I remember in 2013 when I lose many days, I only want to watch Netflix and do nothing because I feel like so sad and so down, So of course I realized that. I started to work on that, and now I feel grief, but I understand the short terms. I did my best, and sometimes I think about, okay, I still be a winner or not, but that is, I mean, it's normal. I know if you are, when you go out from that, of course, you're a big winner, but that feeling, that thought, it's okay. You have to understand that happened and observe that, but don't react to that. I mean, this is so difficult because to do this, I did 2 retreats of 10 days. I made it like a 1 hour per day, like for a long time. I'm very present observing my day a day. It's a long process. It's not one day I do this and then the day I get it. No, okay, you have to be patient, work on that and everything. So I look going back to when I looked the results. Actually, I looked the results after the last hand I played before holidays. I looked the results. If I lose, I have some grief. That's okay. And actually, if I played for many days, I realized. I think I realized this like 6 months ago or something like that. That I have the feeling of ludopathy. I mean, when you have drug, I don't know if you try the MDMA, maybe I don't know. Okay, when you have drug. This kind of drug gives you a high, so use a lot of dopamine or serotonin, and then the next days you are very down because you have to recover your things. This like in Spanish we call it the mono, the monkey, or the grieving, whatever. So when I realized that when I play poker, the next day I want to be like a lie down. I don't want to do anything. I think like nothing else is gonna fulfill me. So I only want to play poker. Yeah? So I talk about this because it's about, we were talking about the results. I still having the feeling of a little bit down. I win or lose, doesn't matter, but if I lose of a little bit more, but I know I'm conscious about that, and after 2 days it's okay. No, it's okay. I'm very happy again. I can do many things. I'm motivated to do other things. So I don't know if this answers your question or not, but
yeah, I mean, you're mainly describing, or how I understood it is, losing is part of the game and you've got very good at dealing with it, mainly through grief. Okay, like sometimes bad periods will just happen, and this is something that's unavoidable, right? And you've learned to give it a place and detach yourself and maybe your feelings, your self-esteem, how you feel about yourself as a player. You've kind of detached that from the results. Obviously, in that moment, you feel like shit. The next day, you feel like shit. But maybe in the past, you felt like shit for a week, and now you only feel like shit for a day, right? But in the end, I think this is a very important point that I'm getting from talking to you. In the end, you have to realize that you're human and you will feel like shit, and that's okay. But the goal is to feel like shit for a less period than you felt before, right? It's all about that progress. but you really realize a lot that certain emotions are just there for you to experience. And like I said, the fact that you're human. So a lot of good stuff in there. I personally, if I made a big loss, I go in hyper analytic mode, where I go through all my hands. I filter all the data. I need a diagnose. Okay. And it doesn't matter if it's me playing bad or if it was just variance. I want to know the diagnose. So if it was purely variance, there was almost nothing I can do. I can give it a place. And if it was due to my own mistakes, I feel actually in both cases, after a couple of days of spending in hyper analytic mode, I feel good. Okay, because there's either some things that came out that I can work on, so I can give it a place, and I can even feel motivated due to a downswing, or I can just give it a place and be like, okay, at least I'm playing well. You know, when I come back, I'll take them down. I have some big news, my fellow ambitious poker players, because the doors to our Mechanics of Poker program are closing. They are closing because behind the scenes we have been working hard on the 2.0 version of the mechanics, which next to more content also will include more personal attention and a more exclusive community, which means that we will only take on a small group of players who fit the profile. This means that right now is your last chance to guarantee a seat in one of the most complete poker coaching programs out there, which will help you break free from low to mid stakes and help you reach high stakes poker games. Throughout the month of July, we are running our first and most likely last promotion ever, a 25% off closing sale on the Mechanics of Poker program. And if you enroll now, you will get lifetime access to all the updates, including all the goodness that is coming up in the Mechanics of Poker 2.0. So grab this opportunity before the doors are closed and let us help you realize your poker goals. Go over to pokerambition.com to enroll. But without further ado, let's get back to more goodness in this episode. Adam, you've been very silently on the sideline. My apologies for that. Any tips on dealing better with losses?
Well, yeah, I've been listening patiently. We've been talking about the power of now, the 7 habits of highly effective people, and the 5 a.m. club. So big fan of all the topics so far. And yeah,
sounds like your conversation. Huh? This is perfectly in your street.
Let me in. But all good. Yeah, in terms of dealing with downswings, I really liked what Jose was saying there in terms of giving himself space from downswings, in terms of not checking results so frequently, but also there's a big level of acceptance, just accepting things for what they are. And this is difficult. Like Jose was saying, this is not a natural thing that we're good at. When you're losing at poker, it feels like the world's going to end. You have heightened emotions in your body that do not feel nice. Your mind is going very active into trying to problem solve things that may not need to be solved. And you've got to be silent amongst it, be the observer, like Jose is saying, and be okay with that. And that's hard. To accept things not going your way is very, very hard. Because when you're playing poker, you want to make money. You sit there because you think you can beat your opponents and you want their money off them. So when you lose money, you've got to deal with the opposite, the inverse feeling of, oh, wait a second, I didn't meet my expectations. Money's been taken from me. I'm losing. And because poker is this multifaceted game, we never actually know why. Was it me? Did I mess up? Does my strategy suck? Is this variance? Is this guy getting lucky on me? What's happening here? And like you said there, Rene, with your answer, you want to know. You want to know the answer. Because once you know the answer, if it's variance, you can accept it. If it's your bad play, you can also accept it. So yeah, dealing with bad results as a poker player is one of the skills that you just need to learn. And yeah, I think Jose's experience, I really liked the process you went through. You talked about basically stilling yourself, lots of meditation, silent retreats. All these things are really valuable because they give you space from thoughts and emotions so you can put them in their place. You can accept them. They're still challenging. They're still heightened at times. We still mess up occasionally, but at the same time, it gives you space to deal with them. So yeah, I think there's a lot of wisdom that's been coming there, and yeah, really, really enjoying that part of the conversation. I do want to take it sideways because I know you guys have been chatting on lots of topics, and I was wanting to know about your story a bit. So our job with this podcast is to bring out your kind of journey to high stakes. And in the questionnaire, you mentioned that it took you 12 years to get to your current levels. You also mentioned that school was quite easy for you. And when you started poker, how easy was poker? Was poker the first thing you tried after school? And how challenging was it when you first got into poker?
Okay. I think I don't know if luck really exist. I mean, it's well, oh no, sorry about this affirmation. I think luck is a lot in life. Actually, it's the opposite what I said in the beginning. So I like poker. So in the beginning, I was so bad. Remember the poker star give you like $5 to play doing something. I made many accounts with different people to get that. I lose a lot. Blah blah blah. So, but I want to play. I want to be a professional. So what I did, I'm from Malaga. I'm from Malaga, from Spain. So there were a poker club. So I started like dealer to earn some money and know the people to play to be able to play against them better. So during the tournament, some guy told me, you want to learn poker? So there is a school called Educapoker. Now I'm teaching there. That's amazing. So I go to the school. This happened like 1 year after, I think. I was like 1 year going around, I don't know what I was doing, wherever, blah blah. So then when I knew the school, I started with very easy strategies, like 20 BBs. You remember the phrase like a fucking Spanish short stack? You don't remember this? I don't know if you remember the Waco, this one.
Yeah. You all had the same avatars, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So because we played with 20 BBs and regulars don't know how to play this, and they make a lot of crazy mistakes. So it was easy because it was like a robot. It's like a push, open push, or so easy you don't make mistake. When you play less blinds, you make less mistakes. So the thing is important in the process. So I started with this. Started to study a lot in the school, and I think I got luck too, because I think I have a graph with my EV under my green line, my earnings. So that helped you a lot too, to be like in the process. If you lose, if your EV is like that, and in the beginning of the poker you don't understand that, and maybe you quick. So I was very lucky on my process. But so this is my beginning, and then I started with Educapoker. Educapoker, I was playing high, and when I had the opportunity, I moved, because in Spain in 2011, I think, they made a regulation, so you only could play against Spanish people, Spanish against Spanish. So if you want to play higher, you couldn't. So there, that opened a window to move with other players. So we made a lot of poker players houses. Yeah. So that was amazing. I mean, if you want to learn in something, if you want to learn something, you have to be surrounded by people better than you in something. They're so efficient. So I was lucky there. I moved to Bournemouth, to UK. I've been living in UK like 4 or 5 years, something like that, 4 or 5 years. But like 3 months per year, 6 months per year, and my English is not so good because I never go with English people. Sorry, we always with the Spanish people. It's like crazy. It's the easy way. So I'm sorry about that now. So then we make a poker player houses. I went to 100, not even 100, to 1K in 1 year. I earned like I had like $6,000 bankroll, and I earned that year I earned like 100,000. 2011, it was crazy. And after that, I still living with poker players, and then in 2004, that's when 2011, 12, and then in 2014 I started with Educapoker with Vedo, with Andres, And then I started with Raúl Mestre, and then I started with, I'm being coached always for someone better than me. I think for me, that's important. Someone to guide you and be surrounded for people better than you or that motivated to keep going. And that is one problem I have now in my life, because when I, for example, go to Vegas, now I've been playing the main event, I'm with the high stake poker players. I want to play high, I want to play poker, because that motivate me a lot. But when I'm not surrounded by poker players, then I can go into other perspective, I'm so emotional. I'm so emotional. And thanks to Vipassana helped me a lot. It was a awakening in my life and in poker. I always, before Vipassana in 2017, I was playing 5K already. Even I was battling 5K for a while with limitless, but there I was so exploitative. The point is, before Vipassana, I was earning with the blue line. After Vipassana, before Vipassana, I was playing like 5K for a while. Then I had like a 1 year no poker, 1 year of sabbatic year. Actually, I did that many times in my career because I will have the conflict between, okay, I like poker, but I want to do something else. So I have the conflict during playing poker. That happened a lot to players, I think. So I always have like, okay, this year I'm gonna go to surf. So in the last time I did this, I was playing like 5K, and 1 year after, I started in 200 after the Vipassana retreat. So I came from the blue line and I started in 200. Thanks to Vipassana, thanks to observe the emotions, things to accept, like Alan said, accept things as it is, as they are. I started to earn with the red line. I got red line like that. Blue line was a crazy change. Right? Okay. I don't know if I'm talking a lot, so I don't know what you want to keep going, because I lost myself already a little bit.
So many things I can jump in on.
You asked me how I got where I get, how I started, right?
Yeah, no, that was great. You went on a great path there. And some of the things I got from that was the importance of learning from others, but also putting yourself in the right situation. Like, I love the story where you said you were a dealer for a while, and you were a dealer because you like poker and you want to be around poker and learn from him. That's a super amazing step to take. I'm not sure how many players would think of being a dealer, so they're around lots of the players and they can learn from them. Then from there, you went into a school, again, around other players. And you talked about basically go from 100s through to 1Ks in 1 year because you want a grinding house and you'll live with other players. And yeah, myself, when I played poker, I had 5 years of living with other players, and it's very immersive. All you do is live and breathe poker. You go for lunch, you talk poker strategy, you go for dinner, poker strategy, you grind together, you study together, and there's not much else that goes on in a lot of grinding houses other than poker. So it gives you this almost like crash course. And like you said, if you're lucky enough or you're able to find players better than you and you're a good learner and you put yourself as kind of the student in that arrangement, you can learn so much quicker than other people. So yeah, I think it's a real good lesson to surround yourself with the right people. And like you're saying right now, you're at a point now where you're obviously very established at the high stakes, very good. You're probably struggling to find players who are that far ahead of you. So you get the next challenge where you become one of the better players and you're more the teacher to people around you. And like you said, you coach guys who play 50 NL, 100 NL, and now you're sharing your wisdom with them. But obviously you're still in your own growth curve, and it gets more challenging to the higher you get up the ladder to find people who you can learn from. But yeah, I think that's an ongoing thing that you will continue with. Yeah, really good stuff. And I like that story. So for you, in terms of your progression, so we've got 12 years of the kind of from starting to high stakes. What were the toughest years for you? What were the years when you look back on, you went, oh, I had a lot of challenges during this year. So you talked about your sabbatical where you had a year off when you're playing 5Ks and you took a whole break, did all your Vipassana stuff. Was there any years or challenging parts of your poker career where you really hit a roadblock?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem for me was, of course, myself, the compromise and the clarity of what I want to do. See, for example, I had a problem with compromise in my life, with commitment. Actually, I don't know the Waco, if you remember my nicknames, always are saying something to me. I mean, in 888, my name is commitment. Okay. In American career, American winning the time, Americans. My nickname is being the unknown, because Krishnamurti talk about being the unknown, because it's like a being, like everything. If you are in the unknown, you are like a present. You are okay. What's coming? Everything's changing. So all my nicknames say something to me. So my biggest problem was commitment, and to don't know what I want to do with life, because I think a lot. I have many like a crucial existences, like why I'm here, why I live, what the purpose. It doesn't make sense, you know. So I was battling with this. I was struggling with this for many years, till I think maybe a few months ago, or a few years, maybe 1 year ago, or whatever. And now I still having this strugglings or thinkings. Of course, now it's like 1 day or 1 hour or 3 hours, 4 hours. Yeah? But in the past it was for weeks, or for 1 year even, you know. So I think that was the biggest like a problem for me, to be like going and out, you know. So and maybe and this was the most bigger, the most that then when I wanted to play 2K plus, I was about I didn't know theory. I didn't know Payo. So to know Payo and know how to work with Payo, know how to study, and was the what gave me the jump. Okay? Because actually 2 years ago, I was in Ecuador surfing. So I tried to go to 2K a lot, even to 1K a lot, battling. But always in 1K and 2K, they kick me out, always. So last year, I mean, I was in Ecuador, and there I tried to achieve 2K again, and they kicked me out again. I thought, okay, so accept that you are not able to be on 2K. Keep go to 1K, still live your life, whatever, blah blah blah. Okay, so but then 1 year after, I started with Pio, and that gave me the jump to high stake. You know, to understand Pio, so difficult. And another important thing is I'm so bad with a structure. With structuring my life. No, it's my life, but my thinking, my thoughts, or the process. I'm like a beginner, structuring things. So when I started with Payo, and I started to write down everything, starting to study spot one by one, going in deep, flop, turn, river, writing down all the concepts, what I learned. That gave me the level, the click to be able to stay high stakes. Because another important thing about to be able to be in high stakes, or to be able to be a poker player, like Waco said before, is like to know you are doing things well. Because poker, you can be doing something well and lose all the times, because it's variance, or you have to lose. Or for example, when you call a bet on the river, you have to win maybe sometimes like once every 3 times, right? 1/3, right, of the time. But the mind, the human doesn't understand that. You cannot be calling and earning money and losing in that time. It's so difficult to understand. So Payo gives you that some kind of way. You know, when you, doesn't matter if you lose, that you look this because Payo is a thing and the humans are another thing. Because you can play Payo very well and then you go to the table and you cannot win because human didn't, they're not doing that yet because Payo is so complex. So it's important to learn Payo, how machine plays, but even more important, apply that on the human human way, a human game, you know, because sometimes they are so far, and that actually gives me motivate me because I achieve high stakes and I think I have to learn a lot. I sit to study. I say, wow, it's endless. So that motivates me a lot too, because and actually when you achieve high stakes and you see how people are so far yet from Pi in many spots, say, wow, I see, and they are crashing. So that's very motivated to me.
So yeah, it sounds like for you, a lot of your progression has been getting things very clear in your head. You talked about like compromise and basically commitments and basically almost like not knowing where you're going and what for. I think this is a problem or like an issue a lot of players face where you get into poker very simplistically. You basically want to make money. It's good fun and off you go. And then you start making money. And then you start having a good lifestyle. And then you're like, well, now what? Now what do I do? And sometimes this can go very deep. Like for yourself, you went very deep in terms of what's my life about? Why am I doing this? Who am I going to be? And we're trying to seek clarity. We're trying to seek some form of inner knowing of like, am I on the right track? Is this where I should be going with my life? Is this meaningful to me? And the sooner you do that, the better. Because if you go 10 years down one path before turning around, you're going to have some things to deal with. So yeah, it sounds like for you, the first kind of progression growth was getting clear on who you wanted to be, why you're playing poker and what you need to do. Then the next kind of progression, especially this kind of breaking into 2Ks, sounded like getting everything simplified, but also creating structures in your life, understanding how Payo thinks so that your game can be more organized and more structured, which allowed you to play a more theoretical strategy without getting thrown around by kind of short-term variance because you are committed to the kind of theoretical strategy. And like you kind of said, structure. So I'm guessing structure applies to your theory game, but also to your kind of life as overall and getting things organized and making sure you're executing. And I think that's when I look at high stakes players and high stakes people in general, they're very often a lot more organized. Their days are very methodical, very structured, very professional, but they very rarely start that way. It's something that they learn as they're trying to progress. They hit obstacles and they start to realize, wait a second, I need to get this a bit more neat. I need to get this a bit more structured. I need to learn about this. So yeah, it sounds like for you, you went on about a year ago, Payo became a big part of your learning tools. And you went really deep to understand it so you could finally crack these 1Ks, 2Ks and above. And it sounds like that's been a massive progression for you. So yeah, great stuff. All right. So I want to ask you, when you were, let's say, playing mid stakes, maybe trying to progress to the 1Ks, did you have any bad habits that were in your game? I see your typical BC game mistakes that were stopping you from making further progress. Was there anything that was coming up that was preventing you from moving forward?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm very emotional. So when I'm out of my center, I play so bad. Actually, when I met the Waco before to the podcast, I told him about that. I told him, remember when I think you tagged me like a speedway player? Because when I'm out of my center, I call a lot like crazy. When I laugh like crazy. So
it was a good read.
Yeah, it was a good read. But
okay,
sometimes.
That's quite deceptive. Like, oh, which JMBigJoe showed up today? I don't know. Is my tag correct today or is it incorrect?
The thing, yes. And actually, that helped me a lot because, of course, I work a lot on me. So I know when I'm out of my center. So maybe I'm 1 day, 2 days out of my center, but then I'm like 3 months in my center. So when someone tag me like a speedway, then in the future, I can take that like an advantage because I know because I know that I did some move that it's gonna they're going to keep in his mind because I'm crazy. Okay, what this so out of the line? What he's doing, you know? So it's important to when you make some mistake to know what mistake are you doing and try to make advantage of that. And always when you make mistakes or there is some chaos in your life or there is some like for example when you lose for a period something, for me it's opportunity to learn. It's a big opportunity to be better. So if you have this approach, actually in life, everything is about perspective. There's many perspectives. So try to take to choose the perspective that help you more. So I think this the now I still battling with this. Actually, in the last 6 months, I had I have a personal problem, okay, and I went so out emotionally. So in 3 days, I lose like 2,400 BBs, high stakes, and that taking me to recover that, taking me like 50,000 hands. It was like crazy, you know? So now I know that. So now after that, what I'm doing, I've been working a lot of my or know what I happen know what is happening in me, okay, in my feelings, my emotions. So when I realize that I'm out of my center, I don't play. I do something else until I go to my center because for what? I mean, you are doing something and you are going back. Because then you have to be like at 100 hours to fixing that problem. So if I realize that, be conscious and don't do it. But of course, it's not like I said. It's not from one day to another. I made this mistake many times, and I hope this time I finally learn. But maybe I make the mistake again, and it's okay. You know, it's okay. But I'm gonna do my best. You know, it's like this is my process, and I think this answer to Adam. I don't know, Adam.
Right. Very good. Yeah. And I think a lot of players will relate to that. And you're basically saying that your emotions have a wide spectrum. And with that, you have a kind of big deviation in your game. So when the wacko catches you on a high emotional day, when you're off your center, you're getting that spewy tag. And on other days, he's going to be very off with his reads because you're back in your center. I like that terminology as well. I really think it's beneficial for the audience. Returning to center, it just means I'm getting back to a clear place. I feel good in myself. When you lose your center, it generally means like things are a bit chaotic, a bit disrupted, and emotionally, they're throwing you around. So yeah, I think it's good for you to acknowledge that you're still having deviations in your game even now, but at the same time, you're more conscious, you're more aware, you can learn from quicker, but because of your personality and who you are, emotions are still there, and they occasionally flare up, and you occasionally lose that center and have to deal with the consequences. Like you said, losing, I think 2,400 big blinds in 3 days because something happened in your life that threw you off center. So in the future, going forward again, you'll want to be able to learn from that and avoid playing during those times. But again, it's a work in progress and it takes time to learn. And yeah, I think emotions are such an interesting part of poker. I think most players, especially online players, would love to be robots. If I could give them a robot button to press and numb their emotions, they'd press it. But I wouldn't want to do that myself. But at the same time, we have to deal with a lot as poker players, and you have to learn on the fly to deal with a lot of emotional situations. And players deal with them in very varying ways. Almost all players who have a lot of success in poker, who've had 12-year careers like yourself, have had to do a lot of soul searching, a lot of like working through these issues and come to terms with the emotions that come up. And I think a lot of it as well comes down from, as you said at the very start of the conversation with the wacko, you were saying basically being good at something gets you loved. People love me when I'm good at something. Now, even though you're doing a lot of work to self-validate yourself and feel good without that, it's still a big thing where when we do have success, we get validation externally from other people and from our friends and our environments. So when poker isn't going well, emotions like, am I good enough? Am I worthy? Am I okay person? So they come to the surface again just through losing at a poker session. So even though we may think that we've evolved past it, very often lots of emotions that we haven't had to deal with in any scenario other than poker come to the forte. So yeah, like you were saying as well earlier, poker is a big opportunity for growth. And sometimes we think it's about growth in terms of financial, but then we kind of switch it over. And we're like, actually, no, it's so much bigger than that. I need to grow as a person. I need to understand myself at a very high level in order to achieve things in poker. So yeah, I think there's so many lessons for the audience listening there. And yeah, I think it's a very common problem. And I think players vary in terms of how much emotion impacts them. So for yourself, Rene?
Yeah, when you know this, that I'm this emotional and I'm a human, others, the rest of the players which I play against, the same. So I try to take advantage of this too. For example, what I do, I always, when I play, for example, with high-stake player, we're like 20, I don't know, 20 maybe, 30, I don't know. I look their graph. Because if they're earning sometimes they're earning with the red line, sometimes we're losing with the red line. Then I look, the 2+2 forum, the high stake hands they put there. Because when you look at hand, you see how sometimes they are playing like so speedy too. So when I know someone's playing speedy or playing more tight, I know how to exploit them better. Because I'm playing against them. So again, I'm so focusing of me and of what I have in front.
Do you mean? Sorry. Do you mean when you're referring to the high stakes threat on 2+2? Do you mean that, for example, you have a normally solid player, and throughout that week you see more spews of him than normally? So you're taking in consideration when making reads how far off his center he is?
Yes.
That's next level, man. This is next level. This is something that I don't take in consideration enough, I think.
That happened a lot, and maybe I will let you know in private, maybe, because I don't, it's like something so in private. I will let you know which ones I took advantage of them because of this, because I saw some
I'm definitely curious to to hear about this process. Indeed, it actually, you see this a lot with recreationals, that you have, let's say, for example, you played with a recreational a couple times. He comes to the table and you're like, oh yes, it's a whale playing 60, 40, 30, completely out of his mind. And then he just folds like for 3 orbits. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? This is not you, but this is not him today, right? It's the range of games someone can have. But I never really considered it that much with professionals, to be honest.
That happens a lot. I mean, not a lot, but happens. And when you are playing a lot of hands against them, battling 300, 400, or even not battling, I mean, it's like we are 30, maybe 20, 30 high stakes playing the same side. So that, okay, this guy now is on this mood. So now I'm gonna be careful with that, because it's like a. So
you try to link it, like, for example, if you see, okay, someone has been clearly in a downswing, and you kind of link a downswing to certain behavior you see in certain hands.
Actually, there is one that when he's on a downswing, he plays so tight. I mean, he's folding a lot, he's bluffing less. And there's another one that when, I don't know what happens in game, he's one of the best, but sometimes he's playing like so crazy, like so speedy. So he's playing, when you play high stakes and you are a very good player, back regs, back regulars, or when they are not playing well, they're like semi-fish, some kind of. So you have to boom hunting them, something like that. Some kind of, you have to boom hunting, boom hunt them, because the 5K plus is not too many tables. You have to battle a lot.
So basically, you're trying to spot players who are off their center, and then you hunt them.
I think no. not like a fish, but if I'm better my A game and I don't have tables, for example, I have 3 tables, 4 tables, so I add them, I add that table.
Yeah,
that
you add because that player currently is out of his center, basically.
Yeah, and when you are playing high stakes, you have to fight for the king of the hill. Like you have to really sit down because it's so difficult. There's a lot of scripts and people is so fast, so difficult to get tables. So if this regular is not playing very well and he plays very good, I know he has this problem now. So I battle there and try to have fun, because actually I do that because I have fun. Because I love to be competitive. So when I'm competitive, I like to play.
Sorry for hijacking your conversation, Adam.
All good. I was actually going to pass over to you, Rene, and ask you, in your career, did you have big deviations in your A to C game based on your emotional state? Did you go through any periods where there was like a big divide between those 2 states?
No, it was actually funny. He just José described a player who's in a downswing who becomes a bit more nitty. That's me. Like if I'm in a downswing, I guess my default response is I want to be safe. And then in my head, safe is related to making more folds and bluffing less, which actually is, and this is really funny. Like your body is then trying to keep you safe, your mind, your conscience, however you want to call it, is trying to keep you safe, but it's actually not keeping you safe because it's making you play more passive, which is not more plus-fee. I would avoid bigger pots. I would actually, this is a natural tendency of me. Maybe we should book a call, Adam. You could diagnose it maybe, but I'm just as José. I'm very observant, and I notice all my leaks are around passivity, and I've noticed the tendency that if I can take a line that would make the pot smaller, I would prefer that line. Like my natural bias leans towards passive lines. So instead of 4-betting, I would prefer calling the 3-bet. Okay, with hands that can do either way. Every time when it's either way, if this is a bet or a check, I'll lean towards the passive option, which I think comes from a tendency to try to keep the pot small, because I see a bigger pot more as an opportunity to lose instead of to win. So this is my current soul searching and trying to always, like, this is something that I always do. I always try to find what are the root causes of some of the leaks, and I started to list like some of my leaks and was like, wait, this is a returning pattern. I'm trying to play my returning pattern. This is true, actually through all my life. My C game reverts to passivity. So in order to be aggressive, I have to really focus. And that bias or that C game get enhanced when I'm in a downswing, which makes sense, but it doesn't make sense, right?
That happened to me, same. My bias is to go to the passive.
And when I'm in an upswing, actually, I do the opposite. I don't mind calling off a stack. I don't mind bluffing off a stack. It's like, enough money problems, It's like, if I lose this one, who cares? If I bluff this one, who cares?
That's natural. I think that happens for maybe.
Yeah, but it's important. I'm sure there's some people listening like, so for the audience listening, I'm going to ask you a question. Like, what are your tendencies when you're in a downswing? What are your tendencies when you're in an upswing? What are your C game tendencies? What are your current leaks? And a lot of players, they cannot answer these questions. And in my opinion, that's a tell. You're not working. For example, if you ask me now, I can give you a detailed report of all my leaks, okay, that I'm very much aware of. And even plans on how to fix them, okay? Obviously, when I'm playing, it doesn't always automatically come out, but I am observative. And then when I see I indeed make the 4-bet instead of calling the 3-bet, I'm like, good, reinforce that behavior. This is good. Also trying to understand the logic. I think the pool, I think this is no secret, the pool has a natural tendency to 3-bet too less from the big blind, right? Yeah. Especially because a lot of hands, I think this is the perfect example. Because calling is such an easy alternative, and a lot of hands are pretty, okay? They're like, okay, yeah, but this hand's so pretty. If I 3-bet and he 4-bets, I have to fold, right? That is a waste. The flaw here, though, is they overestimate the EV of calling, right? If you 3-bet, and in general in poker, there's no higher EV situation to get yourself in than to have your opponent fold. Unless you have aces, kings, queens, maybe ace king, but maybe I think in a lot of spots, even ace king, it's hard to outperform a fold. So If you then do 3-bet from the big blind and they do get 4-bet, they kind of overestimate the EV of worst case scenario. So now then I have to fold. So that's like the mental flaw behind not 3-betting enough. So every time, for example, same with 4-betting out of position, same with 3-betting from the big blind. You have to realize that the hands don't make as much money as you think in the call. That's one. And that you're 3-betting or 4-betting the pretty hands just in case you get called, that you still have decent amount of equity. Okay. But that's kind of the mental game. And people don't often see this as a mental game flaw, but it is a mental game leak. To not 3-bet enough from the big blind, to not 4-bet enough out of position with linear hands. Okay. So I try to remind myself, and at some point when it just clicks, you have no more problem. The leak is over. Okay. At the beginning, it's conscious, but you have to really reinforce that point. And then at some point, it's normal. It clicked for you. Right.
Yeah. When I realized what you said, I realized that like a few months ago. I realized why people do that, why the people have not enough 3-bet in BB, because what you said. Then I thought about the river. You know, they're in the river. People don't, when they have a bluff catch, they can win the pot sometimes when they call, but they call more than raise. So for that, most of the time, there's under bluff, the river rise. Mm-hmm. You know, because
again, with the alternative, right? The alternative calling is an attractive option. Yeah. Also, we often when we get into a spot with a bluff catcher, the natural question we ask ourselves is, "Ooh, can we call this?" That's the first question, and then basically the raise option is kind of because of the question we ask ourselves. The raise didn't come into our mind unless we have strong card removal purposes that makes it trigger. Like, I face it bad. I have 4th pair with the ace flush blocker. This triggers like, hey, I blocked the nuts. Hey, I have a bluff catcher, but I have a great blocker to bluff with. Then that's a scenario where people naturally find the bluffs, right? But what if there is no natural hand that triggers you from bluff raising?
So the margin, like you said, the marginal hands or the hands that maybe could call. You know, you call, you don't raise. So I say something important now. Yeah. So humans, when you play poker, you have seconds to make a decision. Seconds. So usually people, you know, it's like always go for the passive tendency if they think about that, you know. That's what I mean.
I would say for your natural tendency. So if someone is naturally passive or someone is naturally aggressive, they will always lean their decision towards their natural bias. That's why in general you have passive players and they're going to be passive, and you have aggressive players, they're going to be aggressive. Sure, one day he's going to be less aggressive than his most aggressive, right? If he's out of center. But in general, in my opinion, when you've labeled a guy as just like, listen, you just like to fight for pots, they just cannot help themselves. They will fight for the pot. Day in, day out. I remember a good friend of mine, retired poker player now. He always made poker so simple. He said, listen, it's quite simple. When you're a folder and you wake up, you get out of bed, you're not like, today, I'm not going to fold anymore. No, you're like, I'm a folder. I'm going to sit down, play poker, and today I'm going to fold. That's what a folder does. And the same with the station. The station is not going to wake up out of bed and be like, today, I'm not going to be a station. Maybe he has the intention, but 1 hour in his session, he will revert to his natural tendencies and station the shit out of people because, you know, when he faces a bet on the river, he's like, what are his bluffs? I can find some bluffs. Yeah, you can always find bluffs. You know, if you're a natural curious person, you're going to be like, I can find some bluffs here. Whereas the passive guy is like, I can find some value bets here. And based on that question, the result is one keeps on calling and one keeps on folding.
Yeah. Always you can find, because you can be so creative. You can invent many hands that that hands are not there. I mean, that hands are not there, and people say they have this, but mate, that hands are not in that spot. You know.
No, exactly. I mean? And people think they are making a calculated decision, but all they're usually doing is just to find a justification for their bias. Okay, I'm a calling station. I'm going to find a reason to call here. And they actually think that they're making a rational decision, but all they're doing is trying to find the information that leads to a call. And it has to be a very minus EV call for them to not find any reasons to do so.
Yeah, when some calling station starts to think, he's going to call. I think because he will give excuse.
He just hasn't found the reason yet, but give him 30 seconds. So in your opinion, a long time bank, beneficial or not beneficial?
I think for me it's good. For me it's good because I can play more tables, you know.
But in terms of your decision, you said like the longer you can think, the more you will lean towards your bias.
For the population, I think it's bad, but for someone who is conscious of this, I think it's good.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. I completely agree. Actually, I wanted to touch on an interesting point that you and Adam were talking about as well. That you said, Adam, that you have clients who come to you and it's almost like through the words you kind of hear the wish that they want to be a robot. When I was doing a session with my therapist, she actually pointed me out on that. She said like, okay, so what you're basically saying is that you don't want to be human. And what you're describing is that your perception of other high-stakes poker players is that they're not very human. She says, be very careful what you wish for here. I thought that was a very interesting point. Like, okay, and also that touches on a point about the emotional person. Let's say Jose described himself as a very emotional person. If that's you, and you're going to try to suppress your emotions because you think suppressing your emotions in poker will lead you to make better poker decisions, which, you know, we can make an argument to some degree can be true. You might win more money in poker, but I don't think it will make you a happier person. As, you know, as Jose put it, you will be out of center in terms of, out of touch, I would say in this case, with who you truly are.
I think poker and life, they're so similar, and answering to Adam, or both, for me it's a big tool. It's the best tool I have to grow, okay? To grow, because like when you play poker, it's like a life, but faster. Like you get a lot of challenging that you get in life, but life works slower. Yeah. So for me, it's important to be like a robot playing poker, but it's a role, you know, it's a role. You have to be conscious there. But after that, when you go to life, you have to be able to take like a distance from that. That's so difficult. That's so difficult.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Do you have like some sort of a post-session routine to get back in touch with your emotional self?
No, because it's like actually people who doesn't know me, they only know me because I play against them. They, I think they make an image from me so different that what we are, I really are. I really am. You know, it's like in the tables, I like a devil. Like I try to be like a devil. You know, like a. I mean, and then in life, it's pure love. I think so. But I'm working on that too when I'm playing in the table, because you have to be like a little bit careful, like you said, you know, like sometimes because don't know, I'm a different person playing poker. I mean, technically, I do my best. I try to earn, to win all the time, but this completely separate from what I am. I like a person. Like for example, when I play poker, if I have against an occasional on the table, you know, I'm gonna be talking with him like I really want to be. I really want to him. I really want he to be happy. But of course, I'm playing poker. So I want to win the hands, but anyway, but you know, so you know what I mean?
It's a bit of a conflict, because on one hand you want him to be happy, but on the other hand you do want to take his money. So you have to take his money without hurting his feelings. How do you do that, Jose? Give us some tips.
Yeah, that's simple. Yeah, that's a conflict with I had when I see. I don't play live, but when I play live, it's difficult for me, you know, because I see, of course, against occasionals, they lose a lot of money. I say, oh my God, and then he's gonna be sad, or maybe he has a problem. Or wow, so that doesn't happen to me when I play online, because it's like a different way. For example, I love animals. Okay? I love animals. In the future, I want to be a vegetarian person, but I love meat. But when I see a meat, I don't see animal, because in my brain, it doesn't look like animal. You know, it's like a. But if you give me an animal, I say kill him to eat, I cannot. I'm gonna starve. I'm gonna starve before to kill him. I don't even kill a cockroach or a fly. I always take them and go and take it out from the apartment or whatever. You know, I can't kill anything.
Yeah, but I mean that's it doesn't even look alike. So if, let's say, for example, you would eat a piece of meat, but let's say, for example, they put a pork on the table grilled with the head still on it, then you don't eat it, because that's what I have. As long as it's so with any animal products, as long as I don't see eyes, heads, claws, tentacles running around, then I'll eat it. It shouldn't look like an animal anymore.
Yeah, it shouldn't look like the example you said. If he's already dead, of course it's gonna be harder. But I remember, I don't know now, but I remember in the past when I was living in Thailand, my girlfriend was Thai, so I went to his native town, so his natal town, right? Mm-hmm. And you know, there's like a Europe, like 60 years ago, maybe, so a small village. So they bring, you know, like that. They bring the pork, the head. You eat in that moment. I could, you know, I could. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know. I even ate. I even try a dog. You know, so I'm curious. Okay, so okay, let's see. You know, so now I don't know, but of course, it's harder than when you only see a steak, or you know, or whatever that. But anyway, at some point in my life, of course, I'm gonna work on that. Try to go to the vegetarian side, because it's more coherent with me, with my consciousness.
Yeah, with your person. That makes sense. I think life, by the way, in terms of recreationals losing money to you, I think there's a lot of recreationals that, first of all, they don't really mind losing money. As you said, they are there to have a good time. And I feel like if you gave him a good time at the table, you know, you're chatting with him, you're having fun, and then he ends up losing the money to you, it doesn't really matter. Or at least that's often with some recreationals that I have. They liked you, you know, and they were like, they might even call you like, listen, I know you haven't, but here you go. You know, that's like, if you've entertained him well, he doesn't really mind losing his money to you. So all you can do is try to be a nice guy at the table. That,
I think that happens.
If he loses,
higher you play, more that more happen.
Yeah. True, because there also people come to gamble with the money that they actually have, whereas maybe on lower stakes people are just there with their salary. And in general, okay, I have to be careful what I say now, but let's say, for example, someone has more money and he earned that money. He has also developed certain characteristic traits, and therefore he will take losing in a better way. Maybe throughout accumulating his fortune, he has already faced more adversity than someone who just earns paycheck to paycheck and puts his whole paycheck on the line. If you understand what I mean, probably that also has something to do with it. Yeah. I wanted to touch on the point that you also mentioned when you saw how hard poker is nowadays, right? And you look to the high stakes and it's so difficult. You mentioned that you feel motivated. Now, obviously, this is just based on an interpretation. Why do you think it feels motivating to you, seeing how hard poker is and how much work you still have to do, instead of feeling discouraged by it? What do you think is the difference? Because some people would be like, why is it so much work? Why is it so difficult? I just want to win. Come on, let's get it over with. Why can't poker just be easy? And you were like, you appreciate, you talked about accepting the reality. Reality is that it's very difficult, and you can appreciate it, and it motivates you. Why? What's the difference?
Difficult things in life give you like a more, how you can say that, the easy things. In short term, it's okay. Like, it's like, for example, you eat a Doritos, okay, you get a good feeling for 5 seconds, 1 minute, but when you finish the back, it's like now what? Oh, I feel bad. Why I did that? But when you go for a diet, the short time is like oh, diet, oh, but the long time you feel so good. So when something is difficult, gives you better feelings than when something is easy. And when something is easy, it's boring. When you play a game and you get the game, you pass the game. How you can you
win?
You win.
Yeah.
It's easy. It's boring.
Yeah, so on short term it might be nice, like, oh, I won. But then if you every time win because it's easy, it's not so satisfying.
It's not challenging. For me, I like challenge. For example, I love surf. I love surfing. Surf and poker, I think, I don't know, but the most difficult things I ever did. So it's like taking me a lot of time, a lot of effort. I need a lot of energy to be good. Day by day, it's like a long way, long way process. That and it's funny. It's like life, Life is the more difficult game that you can play. Life is a game, but it's so difficult. Why so difficult? Because it's so difficult, you can play for many years. If the life was easy, now what? It's easy. Okay, so what I do now. And there is two kind of persons. The person who work on the challenge, and put a lot of energy in the challenge, and walk, and another one who quick. And in life, that I think I have to be careful with this too. So careful. Sorry if someone is take it personally. I'm not sure about this. Okay, so for example, when someone suicide, he quit the game because it's so hard for them, or whatever, or they think. I don't know what they think because I didn't suicide. Okay, so but they think it's the best choice, the best they can do. They cannot be in that moment. So, but I don't know what you understand my point. Something.
No, I understand your point. It's one point that's very important that I heard you mention. You said the word process, and I think this is really a big difference because throughout our conversation, it's very clear that you're very happy with your life. And in order, I think, to feel motivated by life being challenging, you have to be very content and happy with your current life. Because if you're not happy with where you currently are, you want things to change rapidly. And then something to be easy is often the desire, because you can change your current life very easily. Let's say high stakes poker has now suddenly become easily and you have some financial problems, you want to get out of it. You hope things are easy, right? Because you just want to get to a different place. You want to feel in a different way than you're currently feeling. And if the road is easy, you can feel that way tomorrow. So I think a very key point here is that you can only interpret this as motivating if you're very happy with where you are now. And this is also the only way you can enjoy the process, right? And this is, I think, in any book, in any mental game coaching session, you will hear this: enjoy the process, right? And just surrender to the process and don't want the results tomorrow. This is, I think, the key in order to feel the way that you are feeling and to interpret it as motivating. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I think it's important in working on that now. It's like when things are going good, it's fine. It's easy to be happy, or easy to be happy with your life. When things are going no good, okay, I don't like to say bad because nothing's bad, not good enough. You have to enjoy that too. See, if your process you're human, enjoy the process. It's another way that you have to go because it's life, it's human. So I think for me, I'm working on be good with myself in the highs and be good with myself in the downs, because they cannot exist one without another.
Yeah, you have to accept life, basically.
It's so difficult, yeah. And for when you are in a downswing perspective, it's opportunity to grow. Chaos, if you think about the universe, chaos is creation. Dark is creation. People, I think, understand bad the chaos and the dark. I think they understand. I understand that in different ways. The chaos and darkness is a creation energy, and light is the energy that when you create something, grow what you create already. But
yeah, because we notice that it's dark because sometimes it's light. We might appreciate that it's light because sometimes it's dark. That's what you're trying to say. One kind of strengthens the other.
Exactly. And without creation cannot be there is not light. See, and like a chaos is creation. So when you go in a chaos, in a downswing, it's opportunity to, like you said, to work on your game. So you are creating a new aspect. And okay, you are going to realize things you are doing bad. So you're creating other perspective. You're creating something. And then when you realize that, now you need time to interiorize. Interiorize that. So it's like first creation, then light. You understand this? You know, you are human and you're going to go with light periods and dark periods, but both are good, are fine, because both are important to growth.
And a crucial part is something that you also mentioned: accept reality, right? All frustration exists in us fighting against reality, but the reality is you're in a downswing. Better to look at the opportunity, which is to lose less than your competitors would in the same downswing, and to try to develop yourself as a player, for example. Right. So having an opportunity-based mindset, like looking at any situation. Okay, what's the current opportunity? What are the current lessons that my environment is trying to teach me? Right. And you have to. It's funny because you have to learn them. You can fight against that reality, but at some point, the reality keeps on bumping in your face. Like, listen, I'm trying to teach you something. You have to learn this because else the reality is not going to change.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't change that, it's going to be again. And it's going to show you until you know that, you learn that. You know?
Yeah. You have to learn that, else we won't change reality for you. That's kind of part of the game, right?
That's the game. That's one of the games, you know. I'm gonna show you this until you understand. If you don't understand, I'm gonna show again. That's a booklet. That's life.
I have some big news, my fellow ambitious poker players, because the doors to our Mechanics of Poker program are closing. They are closing because behind the scenes we have been working hard on the 2.0 version of the mechanics, which next to more content also will include more personal attention and a more exclusive community, which means that we will only take on a small group of players who fit the profile. This means that right now is your last chance to guarantee a seat in one of the most complete poker coaching programs out there, which will help you break free from low to mid stakes and help you reach high stakes poker games. Throughout the month of July, we are running our first and most likely last promotion ever, a 25% off closing sale on the Mechanics of Poker program. And if you enroll now, you will get lifetime access to all the updates, including all the goodness that is coming up in the Mechanics of Poker 2.0. So grab this opportunity before the doors are closed and let us help you realize your poker goals. Go over to pokerambition.com to enroll. But without further ado, let's get back to more goodness in this episode.
Last week, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, I have a small crisis existential. Like took me to go out from that like few hours. Why? Because I said, okay. I get to that because I think in what makes sense in life, what I'm gonna do, why I'm here, why blah 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 blah. So to go out from there, I went to be present, man. You only have the present. You only have the present, and then you are alive. So you are alive, and you are in the present, and you are alive. So what do you want? There's nothing else. So keep going. So
you clearly have gained a lot of knowledge. That's quite clear, right? In talking to you so far on basically how to live your life. You already mentioned multiple books. You also mentioned that you often look out for coaches to improve. You mentioned
always.
Raul You also mentioned joining Educa. Do you still remember some of the big aha moments that made something click for you, that helped you progress to a new level in your poker game? That you had at that period with Raul or when joining Educa? What were some of the moments that were like, wow, now it clicked, and that could help you progress at, for example, a higher stake or increase your win rate?
Actually, the last 6 months, the last 6 months, I've been in Playa del Carmen, and I went there because I knew there were the best Spanish poker players in the world now. There's Nacho, David Jones, Spatula, Jemba, another few more. So I went there because it's like you said, ask me about Beto and Raul, but it's the same. Okay, I went there to create a link, a human link with them, share, talk with them, right? So they gave me a lot of clicks in the game because they understand. Talking, they understand things in the game that I didn't understand before. I got a lot of click, but they're like about technique, about theory, about how to apply theory to humans, So I don't know if this worked for you. Like I got click with them, talking with them, sharing with them. I was so lucky because they wanted to share, and I'm like I have I'm lucky because people like me, people. I mean, it's easier for me to create a link, and they opened. You think about that's crazy. I mean, I've been playing with David Jones and Nacho every day, battling tables, and they share. They don't study together, but they share. We talk about hands. We share concepts. That is crazy, right? But for me, it's important. I think when you give something, you get something better. Not better, but you get more. As much as if you give a lot, you get a lot.
Yeah.
And some people don't think about it. Even in poker, this happens in poker. They say, "Oh, I'm not gonna share with you because we play together." How many hands we play together? How many hands? Maybe 10 hands. And how many hands you play against the rest? So
yeah.
If we exchange information, of course, maybe it's gonna be you're gonna do our play harder, or you're gonna win less against me or whatever. But you're gonna win in general. You're gonna win a lot more because you are playing the 99% of the hands with the rest.
Yeah. And also, in order to receive, you also have to give, right? That's also what you're saying. For example, you're talking about how you learned a lot by talking with Nacho, David Jones, but I'm sure, let's say, for example, they gave you 80% information, but I'm sure they've received at least 20% information back that else they would not have received. You probably, like I said, you perceive them maybe as better players. Maybe they are better players. So you were the one maybe benefiting more. But then again, they would not have received the information you gave them without opening up to you.
Exactly. Yeah.
And probably they got there. They are to where they are today because they have that sharing mentality. Maybe a lot of players who are listening who are at way lower stakes, they're very how do you say that? Very paranoid about sharing, and maybe therefore they're stagnating there, right? Yeah. Whereas if they would just share, they might have received great advice that would help them get unstuck to where they currently are.
I think you are in a high level on that. See, you play high stakes. High stakes, there are a few. See, we are not too many. You show how you play in 1K, 2K. I think I cannot do that. For example, for me, it's like I'm paranoid about that. But you are a high level of that. I would like to know, how you deal with that, or because of course I share, but I don't share like that. It's like when you battle and you play like 5K against them, and they see how you think. Or like okay, man, I think it's amazing. think it's amazing. And for me, like I told you, it's like a wow. But how you deal with that? Now I'm doing the podcast to you.
Yeah, but like, so there's obviously, so for example, when I make a YouTube video, when I stream or whatever, that goes public, obviously you will, for example, you can say a lot of things in poker and still say nothing, right? I can ramble on about how this hand blocks this, how this hand unblocks this, how at a certain frequency I will do this. You can say a lot of smart things and in the end still not really be sharing that much valuable information. Maybe against José, I have a hand that it's a bluff catcher, and I'm like, José, crazy, out of his center, I will just always call. And then on the stream, I say, okay, I roll now. Oh, I rolled high, so this time I call.
Nice
example, right?
Yeah, I think.
I don't trust this. I don't trust what's going on. My spidey senses say I have to call here. That's something different than like I'm explaining my whole thought process of why I think this leads to an overbluff spot, for example. So when you say sharing, for example, when I make a video on YouTube, I try to share enough where the video was valuable, and probably the same if you talk with José, if David Jones talks with José, and he has 3 specific reads on you that makes him a lot of money, he's not going to share those reads with you because it doesn't benefit you. It only hurts him, right? For example, I did a lot of, I was in the same situations where I would play a lot against players that I would also study with. And we would just agree, listen, if you have a very specific read on me and you don't think other players are exploiting that, just keep it to yourself. But overall, we can talk hands. That's not a problem.
I know for me it's like of course I thought about that when what you said about playing when you play YouTube. I said because and actually you see another YouTubers or whatever they always are rolling. You say are rolling always. Why are they rolling always? And then they roll something and say no, but now no. So it's like okay.
But this is very okay. So actually, I wanted to ask this question a bit later, but I will ask. So you joined Educa. And I know that a lot of the Spanish guys that play high stakes, they basically all came through Educapoker, right? It's definitely a talent hotbed. It produced a lot of great poker minds. I don't think rolling dice is part of the coaching philosophy at Educapoker. Could you maybe share us a little bit share us what the philosophy of teaching is at Educapoker and why do you think it created so much high stakes and bosses?
I think one of the most difficult things in poker is how I've learned to exploit. Raúl Mestre, a genius. So his poker is based on exploitive moves and play the hand like if the hand was last. So that work, I think that's so difficult to learn and works very good in low stakes and mid stakes. Cejakas, you know Cejakas? Cejakas was the best sit and go poker player in the world when the Supernova League. So it was crazy because he was the first and he doubled the win rate to the second. It's like I was crazy,
Wow,
crazy. But so Bedos, the Hakas, Pablo Tendencies, they see me. When we achieved too high stakes, we had to go out from that. We have to go out from the exploitative way, learn the theory, and then go back to the exploitative way. Right? So, we born from a exploitative game that's so difficult to learn. That works a lot until high stakes. Then high stakes, you have to learn how to play theory, and then you don't crash. I mean, you don't. If you only play theory, you are going to be okay. I don't know, maybe you can earn 1 BB, no, 2, I don't know, but Beto told me once, if you want to crash, you have to know theory a lot, and you have to know how to exploit theory, how to exploit human. That's what makes them crucial. both. So the philosophy of Educapoker, and the Educapoker, I mean the school, there is like a past and present and future. Okay, in the past, Raul was the head coach. Now the head coach is Adri Stinson. You know, his name in Poker Studies, Educasolver. Okay, so now in the you know, the school are many levels in the school. Like it's like a school, guardery, garden, a school, university, doctorate, cum laude. You know, like a many school. So in the high of the school, in the high stage, we are Adri Stinson. He knows theory and exploitative. Me, we play theory and exploitative. Berson is Renes in PokerStar. He play a lot of theory. Actually, he learned from Machado in the school. And then another Michael, then he know theory and exploitative. So now the president of the school is theory and exploitative, but from mid stake to up.
Yeah, because as you mentioned, you were trying to shot 2K over, but it kept on not working. And that was because you were purely exploitative and you lacked theoretical knowledge. What was, could you maybe give us an example of a aha moment you had when you, for example, started to work more with Pio, right? You mentioned working with solvers. What was like an aha moment that you had that you were like, oh shit, yeah, I was doing this completely wrong. Now I completely have a different perspective and now I can crush 2K. Do you remember one of the big aha moments you had where it really clicked for you?
Yeah, the big mistake was memorize and not understand. See, I learned in the school to memorize, not to understand what are the main ideas. You know? For example, saying when you read a book, I was reading like I want to read every word because if I don't read every word, I'm gonna lose the information, whatever. But when you read a book, you have to look for the main ideas, and the whole book is write down around the main ideas, and maybe the main ideas are 2, 3, 4, no, and to have 400 pages. So with Pio, I understand this. I understand that I don't have to memorize. I have to understand the ideas. No? And when you understand the ideas, you have to write down the ideas and develop the idea, writing down every concept. So I think that was the big change for me. The change my how to learn, because I didn't know how to learn because I learned wrong in the school.
Yeah, okay. So a big part of it was also unlearning, but also I would say because Educapoker was there before solvers. So just as every other poker school that was there before solvers, they also had to develop with the solver age, right? Also, for example, I was purely exploitative player as well. And I had the same process as you. I started to work with solvers, and that really certain theoretical concepts started to click. I always looked a lot at other players as well. So I wasn't necessarily that much of a solver user, but if you play against Linus frequently, for example, and you take a look at what he's doing and all the better players around you, they are using a lot of solvers. So you would suddenly see them use certain strategies that clearly came from the solver. And even though I wasn't necessarily using the solver that much myself, I would think like, interesting, they're starting to use these strategies. What are these strategies trying to accomplish? And with that, I was sort of indirectly studying a solver.
Yeah, and I think even if they are not using Pio, for example, when we study the river, for me it's the most exploitative street. Nowadays, they all where I mainly exploit is on the river. Right? So, but if they don't use Pio and you look a hand on Pio and you see that you have to call these hands to this sizing, and they are so far from that. Actually, it doesn't matter if they are studying Pio or not, because you can exploit them like bluffing a lot or not bluffing or not bluffing, because they're calling more than pi. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think it's a good tool to that. And for me, like, I'm so emotional, so to be like on my center, because if I lose a lot in my exploitative game before, when I have a downswing, I don't know what I was doing, and how I can know, how I can check, or how can I find out if I'm wrong or bad. You know, it's like a feeling of the moment, a stat, you know, about you know. So when you have a downswing and you have fire, you know how to work with fire, and you go to and then you check Payo and you do a bluff and he call with that hand that you know it doesn't matter, because doesn't matter the hand, Payo have to call with that hand, you know. So but if he's calling with a hand that you don't expect, or it's not, or they call more, or they call more actually, because it's not, you don't see that hand, then you can learn, okay, so this guy is calling here more than Payo, so you have to bluff less. And okay, I'm gonna pay attention, because if this guy is doing this, maybe other guys are doing that too.
Yeah.
So
and not necessarily like, oh, he is a calling station, but asking yourself a deeper question, like, hey, what is it about this specific spot? Because for example, I find most interesting when I have a guy that I think is more of a folder, and then he suddenly calls a hand that he should definitely never call. I'm like, what made a folder lead to call in this spot? Like, even folders, they find spots to hero call, right? Yeah. So then they're like, okay, what is it about this spot specifically that made an hero folder make an hero call? You can actually learn a lot from that. Yeah, and if you pay attention, the best player of the world, like Stefan, Beef and Fish for me is one of the best too. David Jones, Linus, they sometimes play hands so far from Payo, because they understand that that spot maybe you are over-briefing like crazy. Yeah. You know, but for me, it's important. One thing, it's important because when you're playing against high staker, they get there for something. So don't kill the chicken. Don't kill the chicken. Thank you for that. That was amazing. That song is like crazy, man. So don't kill the eggs, the goal. How do you say that? Don't kill the goal eggs from the chicken, right? You say that saying? Yeah. Okay, I know you are over bluffing, but I don't want you to realize that I know you are over bluffing. So, for example, Stefan make crazy moves that they show up his game a lot, and when you're playing with his high staker, it's so easy to exploit back. Exploit back like crazy. And you don't know, and you maybe take a long time for you to realize that you are over striking back, right? So for me, it's important to exploit a lot of that over bluff spot or whatever, but be like don't be ambitious. See, ambitious is a very dangerous weapon. Crazy, because a lot of high stakers that because of ambition, they make a lot of mistakes. You know, it's like okay, I can win here in this hand 100 chips, but only one time, and maybe then in the future, because he saw your approach, strike you back. So okay, so you have to be like how do you say that, like in your center, I don't know how you say it, okay, I'm not gonna win, I'm not going to earn 100 chips, I'm gonna earn 60, but for a long time. It's like a long time thinking process. Yeah. People so what you're basically describing is, let's say, for example, you've spotted a big imbalance, and therefore you can make a big hero call that in this case makes you, for example, 100 chips. If he now flips the exploit and bluffs 0 that spot next time, and you still make the same call, you lose your 100 back. Yeah. Whereas if you go for sort of more of a soft exploit, you call a little bit more with, you know, a frequency hand, and you make 30 chips, but he will not realize that you've exploited, so he will not change his game. So you win 30 chips in the future, 30 chips, 30 chips, 30 chips. That's long-term thinking process. That's working business. Business is like that. When people think about business in the short term, I think it's not going to be good. You can be good for a few months, but then people, I mean, it's not going to work. So here, I think it's important to be conscious about don't kill the spot. No, be like it's like this. You have to be disciplined. You have to show discipline Don't be too greedy.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And like you said, when I have a spot that I know you're over bluffing, I always choose a hand that you pay with frequency.
Yeah.
Because this way, you in high stake, all of us work with players. So you don't know what I'm doing. I think, of course, now I told you. So if you play against me, I'm not rolling, mate. I'm not rolling. Okay. I mean, maybe
No, yeah.
rolling,
If you call a bluff catcher, you call it always. And if you fold, yeah, I don't know what you're folding, but if you call a bluff catcher, that's marginal to say the least. You're probably gonna call always the bluff catcher in that spot, but you're not gonna expand to a hand that's just never a thing, because that will send the alarm bells off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course,
that's true.
sometimes against very good players, I roll sometimes because I don't know what to do. But
yeah,
when
and also I think rolling can be beneficial to if you really don't know what to do, and then if you don't roll, you always fall back to your bias. So for example, in my case, that would always be folding.
Sadly. Of course, when I finish the session, I go to that spot. I am trying to find out what I have to do the next time.
Yeah.
If not, it's always the same, and you don't grow up. Yeah, that's important.
So we talk now a lot about how theory kind of helped your game, but as many players, I'm sure when you tried to start to implement theory, in the beginning, it can kind of also hurt your game. Were there some mistakes you made? Because you said, like, trying to implement theory, certain things work because, a solver is playing against a solver, but you're also playing against humans. Was there a time for a short period where your game actually went backwards when starting to try to implement theory?
I want to answer. Maybe I don't know if you answer. If you ask me this, but when people with low stakes players, I think it's better if they don't use fire. For me, the most important thing poker is to know to learn how to play against occasionals, because the money is from them. Be focused on this most important thing, or learn how to play against them, and then build a simplified strategy that avoid mistakes to beginners. Because they simplify a lot. Don't avoid mistakes. The most important thing, because like I told you, when I have like this 2,400 BBs lost, was a mistakes. So I make some mistakes, like this one, not so frequently, but they are making these mistakes all the time. So it's impossible to earn from them. So make a simplified robot, like a robot strategy, like a don't do math, and learn how to play against occasional. And of course, your table has to be good. You are playing no limit to 25, 50. You have to be playing against a 70 BPP, 70 BPIP, every table, man. You cannot play against a 30 BPIP because the rate is insane. And this is important.
And there's so much choice, right? There's no point.
So much choice. Yeah, there's no point. So, but I think this is the biggest mistakes people that humans feel that complex is better. That is usually it's not like that. Complex is worse at least until you are very good on that. If you are like us, it's like
if you really understand it, because if you truly understand it, it's no longer complex. Like, you cannot execute what you don't understand. So if you have a complicated strategy that you don't understand, it's gonna go very, very badly.
Yeah, and poker is so complex, it's so difficult. It's crazy.
You can set your own parameters. You can, like in poker, there's many ways to play sort of correct, right? You can use many sizings, just find the right hands, right frequency with the sizing that you decide to use, and choose a sizing that makes sense for you intuitively. So the chances of you making big blunders is smaller, right?
Yeah. And sometimes I use fire with them, but only to show I am good visualizing, when you see the range and how that. So that's good because I'm good with visualize with my eyes. So when you look that, they can understand a little bit more, but always from the the basic things. So from the beginner approach, okay? Hey, you have to do this, do this, do this, do that, but look at this, how it looks, okay? But do this because this, I explain how to, because you do that, always. And I try to use a lot, not looking with them, because, for example, I think, for example, why is good to do for a beginner a C-bit range, 1/3 of the pot all the time. Don't think about the spot to do that, and then let's work on the time on the river, you know? Because people is overfolding and people is under raising the C-bit. So you are materializing. You are it's the equity realization concept, you know. If you for 1/3 of the pot you get till the river the 95% of the time, so mate, it's impossible that you develop a strategy better than this for a beginner. So difficult, for example, you know.
But
then
when do you say, okay, now it's time to kind of explain you poker at a deeper level? When is the right time then? Because I'm sure a lot of players are listening, you understand this is like one of the basics things they learn. Okay. And this is true, like in general, if you just c-bet 1/3 on most boards, and then at boards where less c-betting is happening, you just range check. That's often a common used way to kind of simplify the flop tree. And then from there, you start to think, sort of, right?
Yes. And if you do
but
that,
when do we start to when do we start to enter?
For me, it's like until no limit. It's like until no limit 100 or 200. For me, you have to do these basic strategies and be focused on occasional players. When you are professional already, when you just leave from poker and you can, and then you are 100. I think for me 200. I think 100. I think level 1 is, for example, 100 bit range every spot. Okay. Level 2, I think maybe 100. When you are a solid winner in 100, I'm gonna split the flop in 2 strategies: 100 CBT or 100 check. Yeah. And then the third, when you are already playing, let's say 400, 1K, then you can start to make bottom flop in this board. Then you can have a overbet and turn on sometimes. 2-sizing on term, you know. It's like but I think until you are not professional, it's important to get to professional as faster as you can, and avoid mistakes, and learning how to make a good table selection.
But I think that is important always, right?
Always.
I mean,
but they don't know. But people don't. But it's amazing. They don't do that. I mean, I see a lot. I'm in the school teaching people from no limit 50 to 100 more or less now in my forum. Maybe they say, why do the mistakes is always a mistake? Why do you play this table? I told you 100 times. Do you have to play this table? You have better, but they still making the same mistakes. Some humans are slower to learn, but it's okay. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's okay. I'm here to let you know again, you know. But like, be focusing a lot my energy and let them know to don't play against semi-fishes, semi-recreationals. Try to avoid problems, mistakes, simplify strategies. Be focusing on latest streets when you have already a winner flop strategy, that a winner flop strategy. Yeah,
I think it's also very important in terms of when you tell someone to range bet a certain board, that you try to make him understand why we can range bet. So then they naturally will also understand when not to range bet, right? And that is definitely the difference in terms of how you said that you learned strategy before, where it's just copying, to trying to really find a deeper understanding, right? Also, I think often players use that excuse of like, yeah, but I want to play against better players so I can become a better player. But the truth is, even if you hunt for whales, there will always, every table is usually made up of, there's a recreational, There's someone who's better than you. There's a couple of guys who are weaker than you. At any table, you can find a challenge, right? And again, you know, often if you cannot find external challenge, look for a challenge within yourself. That's I think a good advice that I would give players that have trouble game selecting as well. From an ego perspective, Adam, why do we like to play tougher games?
Good question. I'd say a few things. One, we like to challenge ourselves in a way. We like to strive to be better. And very often playing tougher games gives us the illusion that we are better at what we do. So if you pick a soft game, the ego can tell you that you're almost like shying away from the fight. Almost like imagine a school, you avoid the bully and you beat up some little kids. It's like, yeah, but you didn't go for the big one. Whereas if you play tough games, you get validated that you're good at what you do. Also, like, there's a lot of laziness as well in game selection. Some players play big pod games. Very often it's because they just can't be bothered to look for softer games, so they dive into these hard ones. So yeah, there's a few avenues, and yes, some players just enjoy playing tough competition because there's a lot of ego involved in terms of they get a lot of validation from those pursuits. But yeah, I think it's just exploring it yourself and understand, are you somebody who generally plays games that are too tough for you? If you do play tough games, understand why you are doing that. Like, what is the reason? You should be playing tough games so you can learn from better players and evolve your game. I think some players will delude themselves into thinking that they play tough games for that reason, when in reality they should be playing easier games more often, and yeah, basically having a higher win rates, beating the game. So yeah, I think we all as poker players have battles with the ego. It's one of those pursuits where you get into poker because you enjoy games, you're competitive, you want to win at poker and go up the levels. And yeah, basically you've got to keep your ego in check on that pursuit. You've got to know when to take on challenges that are slightly hard for you, and other times when to build your bankroll and be sensible. But I think most players are a work in progress when it comes to their ego. So yeah, definitely a lot to work on. All right, I want to ask you about the journey. So I've talked a few times about taking you 12 years to get to the top. I want to ask you a quick question. Why do you think it didn't take you half the amount of time? All right, so say it took you 12 years to get to where you are. You're a learner. You like to grow. You like to improve. You've surrounded yourself with a lot of good players throughout your career, just sped it up. Why do you feel like it didn't take you 6 years to get to the top? Now
I didn't change anything because I am what I am thanks to that. Okay, but if I have to start a new way and a new project, something, I will be better in my commitment. I think I took 12 years because I didn't have commitment. That, you know, when I realized that, helped me a lot in my relationships with my, for example, with your couple, no? Your couple, you know, it's like it's amazing because your couple is the best tool, okay, to growth. It's crazy. It's a mirror. It's an amazing mirror. But when you are in a couple, you have many cows, many small cows, and humans always want to run away. You know, so the commitment with your couple, basis, the most important thing with my relationship with my couple is she has to be a good person, and she want to be she want to grow. Okay? That's two things. If she has these two things, I'm commitment with the relationships in the way, because of course it's going to be a lot of chaos, and when you have a chaos, you want to run away. So the commitment and knowing what you want, what is the most important points of your way, is what gives you the faster way, more or less, with a good environment. Or I explain what I mean. You understand what I mean?
100%. Yeah, makes perfect sense. So you're saying there, basically, when you committed to poker, when you went all in and decided, right, this is the path for me, all of a sudden the kind of avenues become a lot clearer and you can make a lot more progress. And then you were linking that to your relationships as well. And your personal relationship, when you commit to that relationship, you're all in, you're not on the fence. When the chaos comes, when things get difficult, you don't shy away. You try to find resolutions and problem solve it. And yeah, like I said, there's a normal human tendency when things get tough to move away. But when you're committed, the commitment basically goes, I'm here no matter what. I'm going to find a way no matter what. Commitment in poker means I'm going to find a way to get through downswings. I'll find a way to beat this next level. Commitment in a relationship means when something unfamiliar comes up or someone brings an insecurity to the surface, you're there, you sit with it, you have a conversation, you work your way through it. So yeah, I like that. I think it's I like that that's a lesson you've learned along the way. And if you could go back, like you said, it's almost like I think it's called the butterfly effect, where we don't change anything because a butterfly flapped its wings in Sao Paulo and that creates a hurricane over the other side of the world. So there's a kind of cause and effect relationship that goes on. So if you change one little thing going back, it might prevent you from being where you are now. But at the same time, we can play like a kind of thought process game where I like the way you did it. You went, if I could put myself into a different endeavor, I would be more committed. And we can learn that way and basically what you do differently. So yeah, I think a lot of things for you, sounds like the thing so it's come up a lot is perspective, changing your perspective. So for you, I think maybe your meditations had a big part of that. You've been able to remove yourself and kind of be the observer and not be as attached to your situations. For perspective, talk me through like what are some of the key perspectives you think are important for poker players? Because I think you've talked about a lot of them, acceptance, one of them, being able to, a lot of different avenues. So for you, could you share some important perspectives either about poker or about life, which you think are helpful for aspiring poker players?
I think I'm going to go back to another question with to the conclusions, to be clear in the conclusions. You have when you go into a project like poker, you have to sit down and write down why you are going in. Like I said, for example, with my couple, is she have to be. It's like a filter, you know, to don't lose time. There is many things to do. Many persons can go with you, you know, in the path. So she has two things important. Write down because we forget that. It's a big filter. She has to be a good person. She has to be have a good person with me, with everyone, whatever, with herself. She have to want to grow up, okay? Because she want to grow up, she can achieve everything. Doesn't matter. It's only need time, okay? So with poker, it's the same. You sit down, you really see why you want to play poker. For example, for me, was I love the game. I love in the beginning, I love competition. I was looking YouTube, like I said, with high stake poker, and I cannot stop watching. Poker is gonna give me a freedom, a lot of freedom. You know? So sit down and write down, because when there is a downswing, you have to go there to read that and have the commitment. You know, it's like how do you say that? Like you write down that, and when you have a downswing or a chaos, you go there to remember why you are here, why you go into this. I think that's for me the most important for a poker player, like in a mental way, right? For me now,
it's funny because often when shit hits the fan, you ask actually yourself that question: why the fuck am I actually doing this? But you're asking it more because you don't know. And what you're basically now saying is you need to know. So when shit hits the fan, you have your no. You can answer that question that you ask out of desperateness, right? When things are too tough. Really good point. Really good point.
Very good point. I think that is life, everything. And I realized this a few months ago, maybe, because I have some big conflict in my life with, you know, relationship or whatever, with feeling like underloved or underestimated, something like that. So I said, why I feel this? Why I'm here? Why? So okay, so I'm gonna write down the things, like I'm write down entire. See, like sometimes poker is going first, sometimes life is going first, but I use both to grow up. So that's important for me. And now what attached me to poker is that, like, I love the game. Poker give me a amazing lifestyle, give me a lot of freedom. I can be everywhere, do whatever I want. I can help people. So maybe I'm not a high stake poker player, but maybe I still for a while. I stay for a while playing 1K, 500, I don't know, and use this tool to help people, because when I play poker, it's like time is gone. It's like I'm so present. See, I play for an hour. I said, 4 hours already? It's crazy, you know. See, it's like time doesn't exist when I play poker, or when I study poker, or when I involved in poker. So that's like a crazy. I'm so lucky for that. So you have to love the game. If you don't love the game, a lot of people come to poker because money. Of course, money for human being is the first motivation in the background, but you're not gonna stay here because of money. Because when the cows came, you are gonna quit because money is not strong enough.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this, Adam?
Very good. Yeah. So I like you're basically getting clear on your why behind why you play poker and why you do anything. Same with your relationships. What are they all about? And for you, it's quite simple. Love the game. That's why you play, and the freedom that I can create. And then I liked what you were saying about when things get tough, use that challenge as a way to recommit to those things. I play this game because I love it. I play this game because it gives me freedom. So when things are getting the most chaotic and things are the most challenging, you've got to remind yourself of the reason you're showing up every day. And like I said, most players will not know the answer to those questions. Why do you play? They'll have very superficial answers like to make money, to have success, to play high stakes, but it doesn't really fuel them. So for you, loving the game, that's an ongoing 12-year love affair. Freedom, that's something that you've cultivated your life around, being able to do what you want. So when things get tough, if you can remind yourself of bigger reasons, it's gonna keep you going through challenging times. So for you, like you said, like I think what we're saying throughout this conversation is how much poker has helped you to grow. And even when you talk about your relationships, you said one of the qualities you really want in your partner is a growth kind of mindset, someone who can learn. So for you, when you got into poker 12 years ago, did you expect yourself to be on such a personal growth path? By that I mean, obviously you're going trying to level up in the poker context, but did you know that you were going to embark on such a personal growth path when you got into poker?
No, I didn't know. I didn't know that of this. It was like it's amazing. Poker gives me a lot. Actually, I have here a tattoo I did in 2013. The only tattoo I had, because poker gave me a lot. It's crazy. It's insane. But I didn't know this. I just went into this path because I like to play. I like games. I like competition, and then has been insane.
Yeah, I think it shows like someone who's played as long as you have, 12 years, while still progressing. Obviously, you stagnated at certain periods, but you've been progressing over the course of that time. You can't do that without loving the game. You can't do that without really enjoying what you do. And yeah, I just love like how the conversation's all been about you leveling up and almost going on like a bit of a spiritual pursuit whilst playing high stakes poker. And it's funny because most people would think those things were very opposite ends of the spectrum. Meditation and doing silent retreats and high stakes poker seem pretty far away. You've got a monk on one side, you've got a high stakes gambler on one side, but they're kind of the same pursuit. And when you look at life and growing, it's all about evolving and becoming a better version of yourself. And yeah, like you've kept saying throughout the conversation, you can't separate the two. If you want to succeed at the tables, you've got to find a way to get to know yourself and become a better version of yourself. And yeah, I think I just really like when players are using the poker journey to not only achieve the freedom and the finances they want, but to become that ultimate version of themselves, to like step into who do I want to be, and asking really big questions. And sometimes we can go very deep on these conversations and ask the why we're here and what we're doing. But it is really fundamental as a human to know what path you're on. And yes, you might be one track minded at times, trying to just achieve a certain poker goal, but at the same time, you're a human on a pursuit, and you're trying to be happy, and you're trying to have good relationships, and you're trying to figure out what this whole thing of life's about and where you're going with it. And on that poker journey, you're going to have to confront a lot of insecurities, a lot of things that come up. And I think you said as well that poker makes life go faster. I would agree with that as well. I feel like you have to learn so many lessons quicker. Let's say with emotions, for example, like I didn't have to deal with many emotions throughout my life until I started playing poker. And then as soon as I started playing poker, I was like, wow, I've got so many emotions, so many insecurities. I did not know that I cared about money so much. I did not know I was such a little baby when I lost. So there's so many things that got thrown in the surface when I started playing poker. And it was like either learn how to deal with that or go and do something else, because poker is very unforgiving. So I think it's really good when you find a pursuit that you love, you enjoy it, you're gaining the life experience that you want, you're working towards big goals, but at the same time, it's causing you to grow and you're improving. So I think for you right now, it's very clear the reason you still play poker is because you love the game, but also because it's still allowing you to grow. So in line with that, what are some of the areas you feel like you have the most growth left to go? So obviously you've been playing poker 12 years, you've had to confront a lot of things in those 12 years. What are some of the growth areas that you feel like poker is still helping with you with at this stage of your life?
I have to be better in structure. So I need to learn a lot yet. Poker can help me a lot with that, with be better with the structure and that in life. I think with still working with emotions. I still being so emotional. So still working with emotion. Yeah, this is this one very good one. I'm still fighting a lot with recognition from outside. So poker helped me a lot with that, because it's like that thing helped me a lot, because now my focus is, if I want to play high stakes, is because the game or because of whatever, but not because I want to look for love from outside or recognition from outside, because it's crazy. It's such an illusion. I mean, for what? If you die tomorrow, no one is gonna remind you. Or doesn't matter. I mean, for what? Because you are a winner of poker. Because you are a high stake winner. For that, that's important. That helps the world. That helps people. That you achieve a high stake poker player and you are the best. That it's illusion. It's for nothing. But if I play high stake poker because I'm going to learn a lot, and then I can help a lot of people, and that people, I'm useful in this way. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So keep learning, breaking that, breaking the recognition from outside, and working more on. I'm here because I can help myself, and if I can help myself, I can help people. Actually, I'm a little bit exposed in the Spanish community, poker Spanish community, but sometimes I have the conflict about time. Okay, prioritizing time. The time is limited. So I have yet a lot of work with myself. So I think I need to work a lot on myself, and on the way, for sure, people around is going to benefits from me. But for that, the thing, maybe in this life, I don't know if we have many lives or not, doesn't matter. But in this life thing, or in this next years, I'm gonna be focusing on myself, on keep growing the love of myself, be complete, be full. My whole life, I've tried to feel from outside. When you feel you have emptiness inside. Okay, I'm gonna buy this. Maybe he said to me that love me is that okay, but that's really is for a moment. But the end is from inside. So if you complete yourself, if you work on to be full inside, then you can focus on outside. Even if you don't have to focus, because it's natural. Yes, it's like that. And so actually, I was thinking about that the last days. What I have to do, be exposed in the social media or that. So I'm gonna be focusing on myself, but on the way, of course, I'm gonna be exposed because it's beautiful. I mean, for me, it's amazing. It's like it's beautiful. Feel my soul. So that's the point. I don't know if I answer your question.
100%. Yeah. I wonder how many players get into poker seeking recognition. I bet it's very, very high, because poker is one of those things where we almost get into it because yes, we like the game. It's competitive, but we've also got a bit of a chip on our shoulders that we want to prove something. We want to be good at something. We want to, first of all, show our friends that we're good at this card game. We want to prove to our parents that we're making the right choice in playing poker. Then we want to beat all our peers and get a gold badge for playing high stakes. Well done, you. You're awesome. And we're constantly seeking like validation externally to make us feel good about this choice of playing poker. And then at some point, like you've talked about, you get to a point where you realize, wait a second, I'm always trying to fill myself up from externally. By that, I mean, you're looking for external validation, external metrics to make yourself feel good, internal. And once you realize that, you're like, wait a second, it can never really get you very far. It's always very fleeting. Every time you have success or a win or anything that's external, you want more of it. And as soon as you get the high from it, it fades very quickly. So then you're left with this horrible predicament where you're like, I've done all the external stuff and I still don't feel great internally. What do I do now? And then you've got to start seeking your own validation and how to basically make yourself feel fulfilled without the external stuff. And that becomes this very big challenge because you're still pursuing things externally, but at the same time, you're working on yourself internally. And I really like what you said about working on yourself before you work on help others. I think this is a kind of high level concept where basically if in order to help other people, in order to be a good person in your immediate environment in particular, you've got to work on yourself. You've got to almost like put everything else aside, not like working yourself in terms of just going to the gym but understand yourself and become a very secure, self conscious person and someone who's really intuitive with themselves. You're very present. And then from there, you can help a lot of people. You don't even need a tribe to help people because your natural way of being is inspiring to the people because you've done work on yourself and you're not like everybody else who's trying to validate yourself through your actions or through your metrics or through your external stuff. You're literally just giving because you want to give, and it takes a lot to get to. I'm a coach, so I go back and forth where I spend a lot of time working on myself and then I spend a lot of time coaching other people, and I'm always going back between the two because I know the most value I can ever provide other people is to work on myself. Always, like almost always, if I go and work on me, when I come back out and interact with other people, I have more to give, I have more to share, I have more to offer them. So yeah, I think it's one of those high level concepts where we've got to get to a point where we work on ourselves enough that we're able to contribute to other people. And at some point, that recognition that you're seeking externally, you've got to give yourself the recognition. The recognition comes from you. You stamp yourself, you give yourself that own kind of stamp of approval. You gain your self-worth from who you are every day. You look in the mirror every day and you're proud of yourself because of how you show up and who you are. And that becomes this different game. Once you've got that, even if it's not as 100% there, like all the time, you still seek things externally occasionally. You've got enough of a center, as we said, to always realize, I fill my own cup up. I'm fulfilled from within, and externally, I'll play the game of life. I'll try to achieve stuff, but I know those external things, they're just games. Life's a game. Poker's a game, and I don't need to take it so seriously. It's not going to make me a better person. So yeah, I just wanted to go deep on that one because I know we talked a lot at the start of the conversation about basically like you wanting people to love you and being good at something gives you that. And I think a lot of players watching this or listening to this will be on a pursuit to gain recognition through poker. And my advice would be in the short term, that's fine. But at some point you need to realize that poker isn't going to validate you. Your success in achievements isn't going to get you very much. It's going to be very, very hollow. And at some point you're going to have to transition that into getting recognition internally and understand who you want to be and become proud of yourself. So that could be a 10-year pursuit, could be a 12-year pursuit, could be a 15 ongoing full lifetime pursuit. But at some point, seeking your own recognition is super important. So yeah, thanks for sharing all that. That was very, very insightful. All right, Rene, have you got any further questions? Any deep in the dig?
Yeah, we're gonna be wrapping it up soon. I have one final question. This was actually one of the motivations that José wanted to be on. He said, we usually ask, like, is there anything you would like to share in this podcast? And he said, share my understanding of life. Well, obviously, this could be a podcast part 2, probably. But I'm still going to try to draw this question here at the end. José, you wanted to share your understanding of life. I think you've done throughout the podcast, right? Any final things you would like to share with our listeners before we're wrapping it off?
I think I have to say, like, say goodbye with the last phrase or last words. I said, try to be a good person with yourself. I think that's the point, the most important point in life for me. Try to be good with you and with the people around.
Yeah, often we treat others nicer than ourselves, right? Like, for example, especially when it comes down to your inner critic, the way you talk to yourself. Oh, you're so fucking stupid. Why do you do that? Yeah, you would not say that to someone that you like, right? So first, is that kind of what you mean? Start treating yourself in a nicer way.
Yeah, exactly. You have to love yourself, try to treat you with love and work on that, because I think that's the point. I mean, the only thing that matters in life is you. Work on yourself. I mean, if you die tomorrow, doesn't matter. You are nothing, and you are all. You know, it's like you die tomorrow, okay? Yeah, your family's gonna cry. Wow, you're gone. I mean, what matter? It doesn't matter. You're nothing. So pay attention to yourself. Do things that really you want to do, and don't think too much in the outside, because part of the time, or a lot of time in our life, we do things because the rest want us to do, because if we do this, we are good, or whatever, you know. So you are living the life from the other, you know. So I'm living the I'm working a lot on this, because like I told you, I told you guys, for me it was so important what people think about me. So if I do something that is out of the box, sometimes yes, sometimes no, I feel like I'm shy, or sometimes, for example, last time I catch me doing this was I wanted to do yoga. So in front of my house in Andorra, there's a park, and no one is doing yoga there. And if I go to do yoga there, maybe people's gonna look to me. What he's doing? Oh, he's doing that good. He's doing that bad. What he's doing? Wow. And then I went. When I was doing yoga, I said, "Hey, mate, really? You are doing yoga here because it's good for yourself. If someone's saying something or whatever, it doesn't matter, because if you die tomorrow, you think he's gonna come to the park to say, oh, that guy didn't come back. Oh, and he was doing yoga so bad. Oh, wow. You know, doesn't matter. And maybe even, you know, it's like crazy, you know, that to do things because, or to don't do things because others, right? If you go from love, you can do everything.
That's
my final
wise words.
Not
Drop mic drop. Don't drop your mic. I think it's like, your laptop, so you would drop your laptop. Probably not a great idea. Save that for a very, very tilty session. But also, this is not to be mistaken when you say focus on yourself. It's not to be mistaken by being selfish, right? I think there could be a person or two that's like, okay, so I should focus more on myself, and they interpret this in a very selfish way. But like you said, you said many times, help others, be good with yourself so you can contribute. It's the complete opposite.
It's the complete opposite.
It's a thin wire.
It's the complete opposite. But you have to find the balance, of course.
Yeah.
But the complete opposite. But if like poker, okay, if you are in a marginal decision, okay, so try to think about yourself first and then to the other, right? You know, you have to always use the RNG, so use it in your favor than the others, but always from love. I mean, not hurting anyone or something like that, you know. So that's I think it's so important you said that, because sometimes we talk about something, and poker, and when you teach poker, this happens a lot. Actually, when I say something about a hand, I always ask to the student to write the conclusion about what he understands from me, because sometimes it's like he didn't understand nothing. I said, what? I didn't say this, you know. So thanks to say that, because it's so important. The big point.
All right. Well, I would like to thank you for contributing your wisdom through this podcast, through the poker world. I'm sure many people are going to be listening to this and learn a lot, and hope that everyone gets excited on the journey that they're on, and they indeed start to share your perspective of seeing it as a big opportunity to grow, not only poker, but in the game of life.
The last thing I want to say is a goal for me, okay? next time I see you, now in the next months, years, I'm going to be focusing on my English level. Okay, so next time I see you, I'll talk a lot.
Opportunity for growth. English.
Yeah, I think it's time for me. I think it's time for me. So
to take it to another level.
Yeah, to take
yeah,
that
but I mean, every time you travel, you go to Ecuador, Mexico, no English there, man.
Yeah, I have to go to another place now. I think maybe
Australia.
this year, yeah.
Thanks again to Jose for sharing his knowledge. He's been on quite the journey, and I really liked the way he grabbed poker by the horns and used it as an opportunity to grow. This is actually something that I often say to players as well, and I also often really think it's a waste when people just try to go through the motions, just try to grind out some money, and they kind of look for other things outside of poker. Whereas if you really try to focus on becoming a better poker player, there's so much opportunities to grow. And I think the conversation with Jose really showed that. Adam, what were some of your main takeaways?
Yeah, it was a far-reaching conversation, and everything was around his growth path on and off the tables. And yeah, definitely we can see that he was developing skills along the way. One of the things he deals with a lot, or is still dealing with now, is his emotions. And he calls himself as someone like a heightened emotional person. And he's had to deal with big fluctuations in his game. So when he's off his center, he would call it, when he's playing his C game, he plays some really bad poker and spews off and makes big mistakes. On the flip side, when he's in his center and he's playing his best, he's a completely different player. So he's had to learn how to manage that, how to understand when he's in a heightened emotional state. Sometimes it's better just not showing up. Even I think it was a few weeks ago, where he lost a lot of buy-ins at the high stakes because something in his personal life threw him off. So someone like Jose, and I'm sure players watching who are highly emotional people, you're going to have to find ways throughout your career to best manage that and best be able to deal with heightened emotions. And he's got better and better and better at it. He can now consciously see himself and how emotions affect him, but he's still a work in progress there. So I think it's a growth avenue that he's still exploring. I liked it when he talked about commitment and he talked about compromise, where basically we talked about how it took 12 years to get to the top. And he said he could have probably got there quicker if he was more committed. And right now he's at a point where he's committed to the poker pursuit. He knows his whys, which are love of the game and freedom. He's committed to his relationships, which are helping him grow. So this one, it's like getting clear on why you're doing what you're doing. And this changes as you're progressing through your life. And poker, for a lot of players, will be to make money, to move up stakes. But you get to a point where that doesn't do it for you. It got to a point where for him where it wasn't kind of inspiring him. So he had to redevelop or reconnect with what he's playing poker for. And now he's got that. Now he feels very fortunate, very lucky to wake up in the morning and play poker. He's almost like pinching himself, going, I'm so fortunate to do this, because he's got clarity and he's able to commit himself from there. And the final thing was perspective. Very, very good at seeing a positive perspective and using all life obstacles as a way to get better and to progress. And he talked about the chaos a lot. And he was talking about kind of the darkness and the light, that part I remember. And he was talking about chaos is the start of creation. And I like that. So I like how deep he was going with it. But what I was getting from that was he's talking about when things are tough. So let's say chaos is a downswing. We can use that downswing as a spark to get better, to improve. So it's a creating moments to actually learn from. And if you can go through life with this kind of objective, non-attachment, so you're going through your life scenarios and you're going, oh, wait a second, this is quite extreme variance or extreme downswing, and you're looking for opportunities to grow from that. Oh my God, doors are going to open. You've got so many opportunities. So I think throughout that conversation, he was talking about sometimes he failed at that often, but also how he tries to instill that as a kind of blueprint for thinking, change your perspective, try to think everything's a kind of work in progress and how I can grow from it. So yeah, so many other examples I could have covered, but yeah, very deep conversation and I enjoyed it very much. How about yourself, Rene? Any of the technical side of the game which were interesting for you?
Yeah, I thought also the empathetic side, and this is also actually something that I think keeps on coming back with multiple players, that they are very empathetic towards themselves. I think it was in the podcast with Figar that he also talked to, we're human, that came back again. So I think that's wisdom. The thing that you said also with committed, if quitting is not an option, you become more resolved because I think a lot of people quit too early. And if quitting is an option, when things get hard, you choose that option. You're like, okay, I quit. But if quitting is not an option, like, okay, quitting is not an option. So what do I do in order to progress? And then you come up with ideas that if quitting was an option, you would not have come up with because you would have already quit. And I think, this is not only true in poker, this is true in everything. People don't stick at something long enough, or they're not committed enough in order to surpass by the chaos that will come in the way of trying to reach mastery in any craft. Coming also to the point of a bit more technical, actually technical. And again, he framed it in terms of when players are off their center. Okay, when this player is off their center, he usually tilts maybe in a certain way that I can take advantage of. So again, the human aspect, I think that was really something different for me. Like I've looked at this in terms of recreationals, but not really in terms of professionals. I would just see a player and expect him to play a certain way always. But he's very right. I mean, people are human. Same for me. I would have also a range in my game. He indeed also mentioned in terms of the range in the game that his range that he has between his A game and C game did start to tighten. I think we talked about this with the Yuri podcast as well. And that mainly came through to studying more theory. And he really needed to study more theory in order to really reach the higher stakes, right? He went exploitative, got him very far. Then he added GTO. And then he actually went back to exploitative, because if you understand the theory better, you also understand when something doesn't apply. And so you become actually a better exploitative player through the use of theory, which is the same path that I walked, and I can definitely relate to what he has been through. Yeah, I think, remember also the game selection point, right? That's a very important point as well. And this is indeed something that players often forget. If you want to remember one thing, or you want to know one secret to making a lot of money in poker, pay attention. That is, you have to play against players that are worse than you for as much money as you can afford to lose, okay? And try to play as much volume as possible under those circumstances. Ta-da! Poker is solved, Adam. You're making notes. And yeah, the game selection part is often a point that's often forgotten. Which, like I said, maybe it's a bit of people feel maybe a little bit ashamed. Oh, I have to make money from the recreationals. But due to also the side-sticking rake, that is usually true. Okay, that's kind of how it is. Obviously, certain pros will be better than other pros. Like José said, he would sometimes hunt players that are off their center. Remember Yuri saying everyone is a fish. So you can also hunt the regulars, but obviously, if you play against a whale, you will make more money than if you don't play against the whale. All right. Wrapping up another podcast. Before we close off, though, I want to shout out a quick reminder for our Mechanics of Poker coaching program promotion that's going to end the end of July. Last chance to enroll for the Mechanics of Poker. You get 25% off if you enroll now, and a guaranteed spot for the Mechanics of Poker 2.0, which are updates to the program that we're currently working on. In the future, if you want to apply for the Mechanics of Poker 2.0, like I already said, you have to apply. So guarantee your seat now. You can still just enroll always, but after that, we will only take on a certain amount of people. So guarantee your seat and sign up now before the promotion expires. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I want to thank the audience. I want to thank my co-host, Adam, for providing the wisdom, as always. Thank everyone for listening, and see you guys in the next episode. Now, if you learned something in this episode, we would much appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Leave a comment with your main takeaways, give us a 5-star rating, and follow the pod. This way we can reach more players and help them reach their big and ambitious poker goals. And if you want us to help you get to those goals, go over to pokerambition.com to find out more.